don't know
Everybody sit down so I know where these mics go.
Yeah, no, this is fine. This is great.
No, no.
Oh, good.
We have a slight alteration on the chain. I need, Jill Bowman wants to give the report to the garden committee, but it's first on the list.
Okay.
Physical therapy.
And they're all off
They'll
right now.
probably be there about 20 after, so if you
We'll just,
move that down.
we can move it, yeah.
Okay, at your request, we'll put it when she gets
Nobody's
there.
gonna set there, are they?
Yeah, oh, no, you can take that one. Thank you, Art.
Yeah.
Have you, anybody heard from
All
Don
the
Bush?
chickens in the hen's house, you know, so I can figure out where it's going.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Marilyn, I'm ahead.
One for him.
Who's that white-haired guy that's between, standing next to Skip?
Oh, really? Wow.
I don't know who he is.
This is what I need to get up.
Yes, Tom?
I just wanted to say that we are on right now, okay? So don't say any bad words.
Any more than normal.
And please speak loudly and clearly if you can.
Okay.
It really helps the video. This is your microphone.
Okay. Thank you.
There we go, a couple of minutes after.
Go ahead and start.
Let's wait till Rocky gets herself together here.
Get your recorder
It
going.
has not been a good morning.
Okay. Did Sue have a letter in her possession?
A what? Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll wait until you're ready.
Now, I just need to turn my phone on so it doesn't beep on me.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's see, we're missing John. Have you heard from him?
I have not.
Okay, well, he's gonna be
I
absent.
have,
Come on. Good morning, everybody. The meeting is now in order at 9:04. Will you please stand and we'll salute our flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody speak up loudly because it's going to be televised or recorded today. This is the main mic for it, right, Tom? Here.
That's what's going on the video.
Okay, and up here on the table, when we're speaking, we can take our mask down. When you come up and speak on the microphone, if you choose, you can take your mask down. There's a plastic bag, and Art will disinfect the mics as needed. Okay, we'll go forward now with roll call. Rocky?
Patty Healy,
Here.
Jim McIntosh,
Here.
Jerry Bruman,
Here.
Rocky Shanahan here, Sharon Elliott. Here. Bev Boykin.
Here.
Susie Rupert.
Here,
Don Bush. Absent. John Radcliffe.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. We will proceed. The minutes approval. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written? Okay. Yes, we have someone wants to speak to it.
Yeah, I would like to have the minutes read, please.
Jim, do we take a vote on that?
Yes, you can. You can vote it down. That it'll do by, without having it read.
Okay, do we
So,
need a second on that also?
You need a second for the motion for it to go forward, otherwise it dies.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any objection to the secretary reading the minutes? Hearing none, there'll be a vote. Those in favor of the secretary reading the minutes, raise your hand here. We have 3 here. Susie, how do you vote, yes or no?
Yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Did you vote, Rocky? No.
Okay, you
Okay.
have to ask for opposed.
Okay. And those that are opposed to reading the minutes, we have 2 opposed to reading the minutes, 1 absent, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest, yes. That would be 6, right? 6, yeah. 6 yes, 1 absent, 2 noes. 6, 7, 8.
Yes,
No, that's
you're
not
right.
right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Rocky, you get to read the minutes. Yay.
Before you read the minutes, can I ask why?
You're probably asking me because I'm the one who voted for it. Reading the minutes is the last chance the board has before they're approved to make any corrections. If the minutes are incorrect and they're approved, then that's casting concrete. That's actually a legal document. So this is the last chance for the board to say, yes, this is what happened at the last meeting.
At one point, they read the minutes, then they voted not to read the minutes, then every members, or the board members all had copies.
The board members do have copies, but the board voted this meeting to read the minutes.
Just was curious.
The meeting was called to order at 9 a.m., followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, Patty Healy, Jim McIntosh, Jerry Bruman, Rocky Shanahan, Sharon Elliott, Bev Boykin was absent. Susie Rupert was on the convener. Don Bush was absent. John Ratcliffe on the convener. No proxies were presented. Minutes, approval and corrections. Jim McIntosh made a motion. The board secretary read the minutes from the last meeting. Sharon Elliott seconded. Minutes from November 18th, 2021. Open board meeting approved as read. Minutes from the November 23rd, 2021 special open board meeting approved as read. Treasurer's report. Allocated income from maintenance fees, $20,718. All other income, $6,389. Total November income, $27,107. November expenses, $24,015. November income exceeded expenses, $3,092. November summary, report submitted for audit. Utility fund balance, $33,936. Storage fund balance, $15,673. CARF balance, November 1, 2021, $181,222. Interest earned, $3. Reversal of UTV tires, M&O, $577. Expenses, Systech Consulting, Wi-Fi, $867. Balance November 30th, 2021, $189,935. Treasurer's report from the profit loss statements for the month of November 2021, proration of 2021-22 maintenance fee, $16,960. Proration of 2020-2021 maintenance fee, $3,758. Ordinary income, $6,388.84. Other income, $14,988.11. Total income, $42,094.95. Total expenses, $20,844.86. Other expense, $20,657.91. Total expense, $41,502.77. Income exceeded expenses, $592.18. Year-to-date, July through November 2021, proration of 2021-2022 maintenance fees, $84,801. Proration of 2020-2021 maintenance fees, $18,790. Ordinary income, $43,191.05. Other income, $131,784.97. Total income, $278,567.02. Total expense, $171,157.74. Other expense, $73,387.79. Total expense, $244,544.53. Income exceeded expenses, $34,021.49. Investment Advisory Group, Investors Report, Edward Jones Certificates of Deposit, AWL funds, $133,461. M&O funds, $50,000. Total on deposit at Edward Jones as of month end, $183,461. Interest paid this month, $3. Interest paid fiscal year, $9. U.S. Treasury T-bills, 0. Total funds invested as of month end, $183,461. Total fiscal year-to-date interest earned, $9. Manager's report. Randy Bice wants to remind everyone that when you come across a washing machine or a dryer that is not working correctly, please fill out the repair slip in the laundry room and take it to the office. It saves time and money if the park manager knows what the problem is with the appliances. Business Manager's report. Kim Watkins reported the office scanned all members' personal file documents containing emergency phone numbers, contacts, beneficiaries, leasehold and membership agreements, and certificates. All have been uploaded to an online storage file labeled by last name. Current members are reminded to update their contact information at least once a year while reviewing their documents. Total transmittal forms for appraised lots, $10,000 lots, and $12,000 lots have also been scanned and stored. This information will be accessed if the paper files in the office are damaged in some way. The office also updated the AWL active waiting list computer files. The office procedure binder has also been updated. This breaks down each procedure done at the front counter and daily operations of running the park's office. Melissa Hanna is training as an office assistant. The office is decorated for the December Christmas season to welcome members and guests. As usual, gift was found in one of the tree decorations. Unusual.
And
Unusual gift was found in one of the tree decorations. There was no adventurous expedition to locate the creature that shed that gift. There will be no office open house with goodies this year. The number of COVID-19 cases and those refusing to follow mask mandates and protocol for small confined areas have delayed this party once again. November renters, 17 on individual lots, 2 in boondocks, and 14 monthly renters. Correspondence, Julie G. Crane, number 197, Jill Goldman, number 68, Community Gardening. Committee reports, no reports for audit, bylaws, communication, election, landscape, PCM, or Wi-Fi. Emergency preparedness. Julianne Crane reported nothing has happened in the park of an emergency nature this month. Emergency Preparedness Committee will welcome the emergency manager Brandon McGar on January 11th, 2022, and a later date for Southern Police Captain Kurt Sorensen. A decision to wear masks or not wear masks will be addressed. With the latest news on the Omicron variant being passed within families, it is important to continue to wear masks. Sharon Elliott added the park has a new block captain, Rachel Smithy, number 25. She has developed a phone tree for co-captains to have a direct line to the members on Hummingbird. Finance, Dar Hoke, 31, reported the Finance Committee is still being trained on CARF and other park finance processes. The committee is also gearing up for the 22-23 budget. The board members should have received a copy of the calendar for the process, which will begin in January. There will be changes in the process this year. I know. Speak up. Yes. Okay. Speak up. Sorry. There will be changes in the process this year. Many have the ability to electronically communicate back and forth with the budget. There will not be any face-to-face workshops as in the past. Budget request forms are available by contacting DAR. Landscape Committee's budget will remain alone and may be incorporated into the park manager's overall budget. Dar, could you make that correction now?
The correction is that, to clarify, the statement submitted and what I said is that that landscape budget would not be rolled into Randy's budget.
Will
That
remain
It
alone
would remain alone
and not.
and not rolled into his budget at this.
Incorporated, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you.
Jackson Jills, Linda Essex, 13, reported the clubhouse was decorated by some hardy members. The toys started arriving and did not stop until December 11th when the fire department arrived to collect them. Bags of fruit, nuts, and goodies for the fire department and police department were delivered. The clubhouse guidelines were given to the board for approval and signature. The timber log is available online each Sunday morning and in the mailroom on Monday. Keep Joan Larson, number 196, informed of any news for the log. The weekly events will be there as well as on the web. Calendar and the whiteboard in the dining room. On the web, calendar and the whiteboard in the dining room. The potlucks have returned on the first Monday of every month, games most every night. As of November 29th, 2021, the Jackson Jills bank balance was $2,563.51. There was no unfinished business. New business, community garden. Sharon Elliott made a motion to form an ad hoc committee for the purpose of assessing the feasibility of creating a park community garden. This would determine the interest of the membership, research the needs of the project, begin planning, and report findings to the board periodically on the progress. A board member liaison will attend meetings, keeping the committee in compliance with their commitment and observing the rules and bylaws of the organization. Jim McIntosh seconded. Motion passed unanimously.
Are you going to correct that now or later?
I don't know. Let's discuss it.
We had 9 motions that were discussed and passed at the last board meeting, we had 2 absents. I'm sorry. At the last board meeting, we had 2 absent, and we had 6 present, including the convener. The vote was taken, and the count was,
It was 7 present, but you don't vote.
okay, I don't vote, but 7 present was 6 to vote. The vote was 6 yes, 2 absence. I believe that should be on our minutes as to that breakdown. I understand the discussion for it being unanimous who was present, but to make it clear for our records, I suggest that we do the count 6, 4, 2 absence. Does any of the other board members want to speak to that? I had discussed this with Rocky previous.
Yeah, I think just for clarity, so for confusion, we actually just make a practice of, even though the minutes were correct, it's perception. I think we gotta put down who voted yes and who was voted no and who was absent.
Is that for each and every motion?
If it is unanimous, yes, but if we have people that are absent or abstaining or voting no, then we have to clarify those votes for the record.
Do I have to, then I need to put everybody that voted yes?
No.
No,
Just 6 yes and then the 2 absent?
yes.
Yes, and if there was a no, then you could put that,
Yeah,
in other words,
right.
the easiest way to write it besides, so that everybody understands by looking at who's there,
Okay,
what the vote was.
all right.
Okay, we all understand that from the table here? Okay, sorry, Rocky, go ahead.
Okay. Oops. Adopt new proxy form. Jim McIntosh made a motion to approve the board limited proxy form as presented effective December 16, 2021, to be the only proxy form approved by the board. Sharon Elliott, second. So I'm going to read this like it says, but I'm going to change all of the motion. Motion passed unanimously. Jim McIntosh made a motion to adopt the incident report form as presented. Susie Rupert seconded. Jim McIntosh withdrew his original motion. Jim McIntosh made a motion that the board adopt the Timber Valley Skip Park incident report form, and this form is to be used if there is an incident involving the park, not park members nor park renters. Rocky Shanahan seconded. Motion passed. Lot relinquishment form. Susie Rupert made a motion to form an ad hoc committee to review the guidelines for lot relinquishment, trades, and exchanges. Jim McIntosh seconded. Motion passed. Composting area. Sharon Elliott made a motion that a composting site be in an appropriate area beyond the storage area and burn pile, because it will take a minimum of a year before compost is usable. It is necessary to begin soon. The ad hoc garden committee would oversee the project, keeping the board informed. This project is projected at no cost to the park. Jim McIntosh seconded. Motion passed. Shed specifications, guidelines, and policies. Jim McIntosh made a motion that the board approve the shed specification, guidelines, and policies as previously presented to the board. John Radcliffe seconded. Jim McIntosh amended the motion to include the wording that enforcement of this policy will only be mandatory and charged to the members when a lot is up for trade, exchange, or the member has requested lot improvement on another issue. Rocky Shanahan seconded. Jim McIntosh rescinded the amendment and revised the motion to the board to accept the shed specification, guidelines, and policies as written. However, the board will form a committee to look at and recommend to the board and procedures to implement this policy. Rocky Shanahan second. Motion passed. report on airgun archery target range. Jim McIntosh reported there is a group in the park wanting to put an airgun archery range in the east end of the park. There was some concern regarding safety and implementation. Jim McIntosh spoke with John Fye, number 189, and reported nothing is going to happen until spring, when the group will present to the board a plan to give the location and specifications of the proposed range for the board's approval. Jackson Jill's Clubhouse Guidelines. Sharon Elliott made a motion to accept the Jack and Jill's activities and clubhouse guidelines as presented. Jim McIntosh seconded. Sharon Elliott revised the motion to postpone the action until January. Jim McIntosh seconded, motion passed. Investment Advisory Guidelines. Jerry Bruman made a motion, the board approved the revised Investment Advisory Group Guidelines as provided to the board. Jim McIntosh seconded, motion passed. Inventory of park assets. Jerry Bruman reported the park needs an accurate inventory of park assets. There are various asset lists for the park's tax return and personal property taxes for the county. These lists do not always agree. In March or April, a motion will be made to make an effort to assess an accurate inventory. It will take effort, staffing, and volunteers. The park pays personal property taxes to the county on everything the park uses in the conduct of the business. Donations to the park becomes one of the park's assets, and the park needs to keep track of that and pay taxes on it. Christmas bonus for employees. Jerry Bruman made a motion to provide a Christmas bonus amounting to $300 net for the park manager and business manager. Jim McIntosh seconded, motion passed. Mask policy in clubhouse, office, mailroom, and laundry. Patty Healy stated, this board started with COVID-19 precautions back in 2019 when reared its ugly head. Then it hit the park in January 2020. For almost 2 years later, the park has been battling this. This board has the responsibility to all the members. It has been a challenge, and the challenge has been for our members. We masked up, we wiped down the tables, we started on Zoom, closed the clubhouse, we canceled board meetings, we started getting jabs in the arm, getting the boosters. Most of the members have done that. I am not here to chastise anybody, but we must respect our clubhouse rule, which is to wear your mask, period. Some people are not doing that, and that caused crankiness around here, and we do not want that. Unkind words have been said. We do not want to close the clubhouse because people are starting to socialize more, and we want that to continue. But you must respect the rule of wearing the mask. We want us all to have fun and enjoy our clubhouse together. Jerry Bruman commented that does not include the clubhouse, the office, the laundry, and the mailroom. One of the things, as a board member responsible for the whole business, should somebody sue us, we are all going to lose. Unless we can have everybody sign an agreement that you won't sue us if there is a COVID incident, we must protect the park. Jim McIntosh commented that the board is not planning on closing the clubhouse, but there are more incidences of people not following the policy that the board set. The board has a responsibility to the membership as a whole to protect them as much as we can and to protect the corporation. If we allow people to violate the rules we set, we take responsibility for allowing that violation, and that puts it back on the board, and it puts it on the park. This could open an avenue for a lawsuit. If someone dies because you had this policy and you didn't enforce it and allowed those people to come in and now somebody got sick and died. The only two avenues that the board had is to have have the policy which every member who got their membership signed that they would follow the rules of the corporation. If peer pressure does not work, then the only thing we have as an option is to close the clubhouse. Please, we are asking everyone, please comply with the mask mandates and do it for your neighbors. Other, Jackie Deal's request. Jim McIntosh made a motion to allow a small second RV to be placed on Jackie Deal's lot, number 109, for her recovery from her surgery until the next board meeting. Jerry Grumman seconded. Motion passed unanimously. Motion passed. Turkeys in the Park report. Rocky Shanahan reported that the information regarding trapping of the turkeys in the park was handed over to the business manager to follow up. Employees overtime, time and a half committee report. Sharon Elliott reported that in the 2016 Employees Handbook, it states that payment for overtime will not be available. Now, since that time, our treasurer has found that the park is not in compliance with federal, state, and local laws. The decision was made to look at this and develop a new revised employee handbook. Jim McIntosh moved to adjourn at 11:23 a.m.
You didn't read that right there. I don't know if you
Oh, I forgot. AWL 154, members 115, renters 13.
Thanks. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as corrected? And
I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
we have a second from Bev. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, raise your hand here. And Susie
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
It's unanimous. The motion is passed, accepted. Okay.
Except for Dawn,
Pardon?
except for Dawn.
Oh,
John's absent.
and one absent. I forgot that. Don. Okay. Treasurer's report and investors report. And manager's report. And I think Jerry will comment on all three.
The park manager's report, yes. Let me mention that I can read you a whole bunch of numbers that regard the park, and I'm sure all of you will be bored within 5 minutes after I start. It's important to me that I pass on the information to you that's important to the members of the park. So if you have any suggestions about what we should be talking about and discussing at this board meeting, please let me know afterwards. But I'll start with the prior treasurer's report, or the treasurer's report for December. Just to summarize, this information is all on the wall in the eating room in here. But essentially, December income exceeded expenses for the park for this particular month by $1,965. Our utility fund balance is $33,936. Without looking at the past month, I'm not sure which direction that went. The storage fund balance is $15,793. That's, to the best of my knowledge, it's about the same as it was last month.
It's up $140.
$140, thank you.
Excuse me, $120.
The CARF balances at the beginning of the month was $180,935. We made $3 of interest, and we had some money coming in when a lot exchange, the difference between a $10,000 lot and a $12,000 lot of $2,000 there. We had no expenses charged to CARF this month, so the balance at the end of the month was $182,938. On our AWL list at the end of the month, we had 154 people. We have 120 members in the park and 16 renters at the end of the month. The investment advisory group report, nothing much has changed since last time. Essentially, it's the same report. Looking at the Edward Jones monthly bank statement, on On this statement, we had $183,091.28. That isn't exactly what this investor's report says, because we've got a minor difficulty with one hand is using accrual accounting and the other hand is using cash accounting, and there's a slight difference. And I'm gonna be working with Kim to get that straightened out so that we do record using accrual accounting, which is the proper way to do it, and that it is consistent. FYI, on our investments at Edward Jones, we earned approximately 1%, or for the month of December, we earned $1.54. So we're doing, we have roughly $180,000 there, so we're doing real well on it. Okay, the business manager's report. Kim provided me this information, said that during the month of December, the office performed an early spring cleaning by undecorating for the Christmas season, cleaning shelves and uncluttering stuff. She put up some new posters regarding the COVID-19 masking, and she also put up a series of posters regarding federal and state requirements in terms of harassment and equal employment, and a bunch of other posters. She cleaned off the old ones that were on the door in there in the office and got some new ones, and has been putting those up. She says that just as a reminder, for those people wanting to dispose of unused office supplies, you can drop them off at the office. It helps the park, so if you have paper or whatever you may have, you can drop that off at the office, they can put it to use. There's also, she wanted to mention that there's quite a few lots coming up for trade, and we've heard concern that it's taking a long time for some of these to come up, the new lots to come up, and there's about 4 of them that are in transition right now. She said, for instance, one lot involved one relinquishment involved 4 lots total. So there's the paperwork for each and every one of them, and it's quite an effort there. The office continues to monitor the expense of propane. Price is fluctuating week to week. We're trying to keep it at as low as we can just to cover the fees that we're charged for propane, and there's a very small profit of maybe 5 cents or so a pound or a gallon, however it's calculated. Couple other things. Passwords for all of our accounts are being now backed up online. So not only do we have our member records being backed up online, but also our passwords for all our accounts. So we do have a way of getting to them if we need to. So we're getting them off of paper and putting them online. The Christmas bonus that was discussed in the minutes was given out this year, as we talked about. We did notice that QuickBooks had a hiccup in the way we tried to put the Christmas bonus through the accounting process. We ended up, I'm not sure if it's under-reporting or over-reporting, or under-reporting to the state for one of our taxes that we have to pay them. So we had to file an amended return just because of the way QuickBooks handled it. So we're going to work on that for next year. And then the other thing, this business of washing machine, not error reports, but the tags that are supposed to be filled out when people find issues, please put some information on them. I was down at the office the other day when someone brought in a couple tags that said, this thing's not heating properly, it's only done, 15 minutes, it's not heating properly. It didn't say what device it was for, which dryer it was for, or anything like that. So how does Randy, for instance, have to know what to go work on, and it just wastes his time. So anyway, that's it for me. And a phone call.
Okay. And next, we'll have the park manager's report. Rocky?
To the board, 1/20/2022. We received information back from Cascade Electric, and it is pretty broad. They filled what we asked them to fill. Please read. I know it's hard to understand. Write down any questions or concerns, and call a workshop to bring in parties who have been working on this. We had a great turnout, which was surprising, because I didn't know we would have that many people. Many hands made short work, and we certainly made short work of that. And that is the trimming of all the fruit trees. Even a couple renters came in and helped trim the trees. There's always continuously have an issue in the laundry room. We have notes, but we have a failure. I laminated signs to say out of order, but we continue to have handwritten notes on washers and dryers that say out of order, but no explanation why. The procedure is to put a sign on there and then fill out a slip and turn to the office. When he came by this morning, he brought me the slip that the dryer is not drying 15 minutes wet. There's no name, no lot number. So was it just 2 towels on there, or was it a full load 15 minutes and the clothes were still wet? There's no explanation. So please fill out and be sure you put your name and lot number on it. Yes.
I'll have to admit that.
Before we move on from,
Just a minute.
before we move on from the
Just a minute, John. Go ahead.
I said, I'm the guilty party.
Oh, okay.
Now I have been corrected, and so I absolutely will spill out everything.
Thank you, Sharon.
How many towels? John, you had something to say?
Yeah, before we move on, and I'm not sure if this is the right time or if it's somewhere in the future or I need to speak to someone else, but in regard to Cascade Electric's proposal, I have some issues with it, and I'm not sure who I should speak to or when I should bring this up, so just please let me know.
Okay, the report is that we have that survey, and we're going to have to set a workshop so we can go over it. So I think that will be in the future, John. Does the board agree with me on that?
Yes.
Go.
Okay, so hold those thoughts. We will bring it before the whole members at a workshop in the future. Rocky, go ahead.
Yeah, and
Well-
I'd like to be there. I'd like to be there in person too, because it's an important issue.
Absolutely.
Well, before the workshop, I'm not sure if I should talk to Randy or someone else, but there are some issues with the proposal that need to be addressed before we can really intelligently make a decision on it. And so I don't know if that'll be at the workshop or before then.
What's that?
Yeah, John, I think with your concerns, maybe Rocky can get with Randy and you two can kind of make medicine together and you can give your concerns to Randy so that he's aware of what your concerns are, so that before we have a workshop, everybody's kind of aware of what's going on.
I would like to point out that Randy's not the chair of that committee. There is a chair to that committee, and that's where those comments should be going.
Who is the chair, do you know?
That's either John Fine or Gary Mount.
Okay. Okay, there you
Okay,
go.
whatever.
Okay.
I'm trying to be helpful.
You were. That just clarifies it. Jim?
Well, neither one of those are in the park right now, correct?
Gary's in the park, I believe.
Yes.
Gary Mount is in the park.
Okay, I'd like to be a part of that.
You will be.
On the issue of the laundry, Just as information, it was reported to me and some other people, I guess, supposedly someone in the park has been putting, it looks like, doing pet bedding. I thought it was cat hair. I guess they're not sure. Maybe Julianne has some input on that, I don't know. But, you know, we're not supposed to be doing pet bedding in the laundry, and it appears that some people are, and then they're not cleaning out. Not only are they not doing what they're supposed to in the laundry, they're not cleaning out the washers or wiping them down afterwards.
I'm not guilty of that.
Okay.
Well, why don't we designate one of the machines just for pet bedding? At least then people will have a place to go to.
No, if you want to do your pet bedding, don't do it in our laundry. Once you open the crack of the door or the camel's nose gets under there, it'll go from there. My view.
Thank you, Susie. Julianne is standing.
Julianne Crane, site 197. Can you hear me okay with this?
You can take it down if you like.
Julianne Crane, site 197, regarding the laundry and the cat hair or animal hair. I was in there, again, this is like the third time that I have gone in that I have had to or run into cat bedding. Maybe I should go later in the day and it would be taken care of. But my recollection is that we put in those cameras to help locate the offenders of who continues to do this. The one day that I went in, a member of the park said that it was the third Sunday in a row that she has had to clean out machines. It seems like a simple thing that someone would be courteous enough to do that. I'm just wondering why did we put the cameras there, and can we utilize the machines that we have?
May I say something about
Yes.
the cameras? We do have the cameras in there. It does take time to go to review the videos that are made by the cameras. So it's important that if you see something, let us know the date, the time, all that information, so we can minimize the amount of effort that it takes to look at the video, because that is time consuming, and it's Randy or I looking at them.
Okay, I will send that to you if it happens again, and I can resend the memo that I sent that had not just the times, but also the sign-in sheets for the day before and the day of the discovery.
Thank you very much.
So it's a place to start.
Sorry. Any more comments about the laundry right now? Sounds like it's a real issue and an ongoing issue. And I know, Julianne, it happened to me, and I go in and do laundry at 12, 1 o'clock, so it's not like it was an early bird that threw it in. And the hair was that long, so I'm looking for long-haired dogs.
Not me.
Not men. I'm sorry, Rocky.
What are you saying?
Rocky, you were interrupted. Were you finished with your report?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we've had the park manager's report, so the laundry will be an issue, and we will have heads up on that. Correspondence, Rocky?
We had one letter from Sue and Skip Italis, number 166, and Sue is going to read her letter.
I'm giving Rocky a break from all that he had to do. When I read this at the agenda meeting, I got emotional, so if I do that again, please excuse it. And by the way, we don't have our long-haired dog anymore. We had to put him down, so it's not me. January 10th, 2022, Timber Valley Board of Directors We are so very, very tired of wearing masks. Seriously, folks, what's the big deal? The big deal is we want to see our granddaughter get married in France. We want to travel to see our family. We want to enjoy time with our friends. We don't want to get a virus that could cause illness or death. So we don't wear masks and sneeze. What could possibly be wrong with that? We don't have the virus, do we? Or do we? There's no way for us to know. The majority of people in the community wear their masks, but the few who are not only putting themselves in harm's way, but they may be harming us and those we care about. We understand some people can't be vaccinated, but please wear a mask for your own safety. They say only the people with underlying conditions need worry. So let's see how many people here in this room. Please raise your hand when I call out this condition, because we know y'all have some. So let's see how many people here in this room have underlying conditions such as high blood pressure, heart conditions, diabetes, obesity, cancer, kidney failure, and don't forget, just being elderly. We all forget to grab that mask once in a while, and a friendly reminder is appreciated. It is difficult for us to understand those who are blatantly defying the mandate. We've been thinking long and hard about this because we have said, oh, that's okay. You don't have to put your mask on for us. We've been vaccinated. We will no longer say that. We will wear our mask when we get the mail, do the laundry, or anything else in the clubhouse or office. We are older human beings and may forget from time to time. So if you see us without it, be sure to say something. Even though we are a private park, we are a business. We should have the right to refuse service to anyone. So the new norm for the office should be no mask, no service. This virus is crazy and spreading like wildfire in Oregon and the rest of the United States. Every day or so there is another variant to COVID. We appreciate everything you have done so far, but we're asking the board to come up with a way to enforce stricter mask mandate rules. Thank you for listening to our point of view on this delicate subject. And I've heard that someone, I don't know who, wants our letter put on the website, and we do not want it on the website. The website is open to the public, and no, we don't want that, because some of our relatives could find us.
Sue, does that include the Timber Valley log?
Yes.
All right, so those will not be published, but thank you for your letter, and we accept your letter. As I said last week at the agenda, we had a closed board meeting, and one of the topics was the mask and the mask policy. And the board has put a letter together that will be going to all members, and that will be put on the website and the timber log. We have the letter here. Do you think it'd be a good idea to read that letter now?
I guess if we can deal with it under new business.
We'll do that under new business. So to be continued for a riveting letter. Okay, we'll have our committee reports, communications.
No report.
Election.
Linda Law 13 on the election committee. We know that under new business, the guidelines will be discussed, and the new calendar for when election work is to begin, I'm sure is being worked on. So that's just all I want to say about that.
Thank you. We'll look forward to the guidelines. Okay, emergency prep.
Julianne Crane, Site 197, Chair of the Emergency Preparedness Committee. I remembered this morning that it was getting close to February, and it was 3 years ago that we had our infamous Snowmageddon. So we're not, even though it's 50 to 60 degrees outside, we're not out of the snow shadow yet. So please be mindful of staying prepared with your own supplies. While we don't have any emergencies, the Emergency Preparedness Committee's main responsibility is education and providing information by experts when possible. This past January 11th, we had the Sutherland City Emergency Manager, who is also, he's higher than a battalion chief. I think he got a promotion inside of the fire department here. And we were fortunate to have 32 members show up, and it was, I think, an amazing overview of what the fire department means to us and to this city. He being, Brandon McGar, I always stumble on that for some reason. But he was saying that of the more than 1,000, and I'm sorry I didn't write this down, calls that they get each, was it monthly? Who was that? Boy, I apologize. Anyway, 70% of all the calls they get are medical. And of those, 11% are falls. And they frequently visit our park. So they know the roads very well, and I think I saw the fire truck come through and just do a drive-through, because they're primarily volunteer fire corps, and so they want them to know our road system pretty well. To continue with the education, during the emergency preparedness monthly meetings, we are bringing in next month the Captain Kurt Sorensen with the Sutherland Police, who is going to speak on active shooters and what to do, how to save your life, actually. So that will be on, again, February 8th at 10 a.m. In the building. It'll probably be this room, because I think a lot of people will show up for that presentation. Then the following month, on March 8th, we are going to have he's been here 2 years, but I didn't know that. I thought he had just come recently. Time flies during the pandemic. Robert Rippey, who is the district manager for the Sutherland Water Control District, will give us an update on the Cooper Creek Dam rehabilitation. So that should be interesting. I spoke with him yesterday and asked him if the flood map, inundation map, has changed any since the one that we have seen, which came out in 2016, and he said no. So that would be another must-hear. During the spring, Jimmy and I will be gone, hopefully, for a long gallivant to Newfoundland. We figured, how far can we get? And Newfoundland is pretty much it, and still be on the continent. And so Christine Godby will be coordinating as the co-chair of the Emergency Preparedness Committee. And she will be following up on such things as CPR and defibrillation training, and also bringing in someone closer to fire season to talk with members about that. Another thing that we're doing is working on the budget, as all of the committees are, and I'm ordering new defib pads, because you're supposed to do that every 2 years, but we're very fortunate that we haven't had to use our pads, so that's a happy report. A final thing is the kitchen stove. I know that we're not having group dinners, but if there is an emergency with the stove not working, that is going to inhibit any soup kitchen, a warming kind of activity that we would need at that time. Again, it's a very slight thing, but it's something for us to consider. Any questions?
Yeah, Julianne, I have a clarification. I believe when you said the stove is not working, that's an old stove, and actually the stove works very well still. The pilot lights are either on or they're off, and they've been on for years, and I believe the pilot light's been turned off, and that's why the stove is not working. To make it work, all you have to do is light the pilot light, and everything should function normally.
That would be good to test for us to do that. So thank you. That's good. We don't have to worry about that.
Sharon, oh, do you have any more comments? Sharon had, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Sharon?
for the active shooter presentation, I'm going to also ask Captain Sorensen if he would just talk briefly about the hostage possibility in view of the recent hostage activity in Texas. I don't know what they would gain by keep making us a bunch of hostages, but who knows? So I'm going to tag that on to his job.
Thank you. Good idea.
And Dick, you had your hand up?
Never mind.
Are you concerned about hostages too?
Who's gonna pay for getting us out of being a hostage?
They'll say,
I would just
good.
like to mention everyone that we are bringing in from the city knows Dick. So he's been really representing us well, liaisoning with the city.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Julianne. You may or may not be with us at the next meeting in February, right?
No, we'll be here for February. I don't want to miss the active shooter. We're traveling cross country.
Okay. All right, sounds good then. I lost my place here.
Finance.
Finance.
Finance Committee report, our hope, lot 31. The fiscal year 22-23 budget process has been started, and information's been sent out to all of the committee chairs and co-chairs and their liaisons on the changes in the process for this next fiscal year. The biggest change is that the majority of the process will be done electronically through email instead of by paper mail. But for those who don't have access to electronic processes, we do have the ability, they can turn it in by in-house park mail. The budgets need to be submitted to the Finance Committee by the end of business on March 15th, 2022. And there is an issue yet, though, with the Landscape Committee budget. It needs some discussion yet today to clarify use of that budget by Randy in the interim until a chair is found for the committee. This is a unique situation that has not occurred in the past. And as mentioned in the Finance Committee report last month, it is preferable to keep that budget independent and not rolled into Randy's overall budget for at least for another year, in hopes that we get a chair or co-chairs for that committee. In the interim, what process and oversight should there be in the use of that budget in the park? And I'd like to request that to be put on new business, if we can.
Okay,
Submitted, Darrell,
thank you.
Finance Committee Chair.
Landscape budget.
Okay, landscape budget. Okay, that was finance, and then Jackson Jills.
Linda Essex, Lot 13, Chairman of Jack and Jill's. As of January 20th, 22. As of January 20th, 22. Better?
Yes.
Okay. The Coma House has been busy with potlucks first of the month and many card games. And of course, our bingo players and popcorn eaters are there hoping for a big win. Joy Fox won $33 last week, and I have to say, this week she also won $26. Thank you, Joan, for keeping us entertained. The Vrumans and the Boykins keep us in buttery good popcorn. Thanks, everyone. We are lining up interesting and fun speakers for social hour at 3 p.m. on the second Friday of each month. If you have an idea for a speaker, please let myself or Sharon Elliott know. The Timber Log will keep you informed of each week's coming events, and the whiteboard out front has important news. As of December 31st, 2021, our bank balance was $2,575.20, submitted by Linda Essex, Chairman.
Thank you, Linda. Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi Committee report, January 20 this year. It's been a long process, but finally we have the updates, the upgrades for the B network complete. We will still need to make some adjustments, so there may be sometimes some short periods of outages while we do those, just so you know. So we are planning to try to sell some of the equipment that we have replaced. Some of it is going to be a new business, we'll talk about that, but so, you want me to just talk about that later?
Yes.
Very well. So we need to start programming the equipment that we have already purchased for the Network A, and then we will be starting to install that equipment when they're permitting. Dick Shanahan, Lot 62, Chair.
Thank you, Dick Shanahan. We'll look forward to your next part. Okay, PCM, was there a report? We don't have it down here. Did you have a report?
I've got something to say.
All right, that's a report.
I'll try it without the taking mask off. George Wigan, 87, PCM chair. I got two items that's really important to this part. One was our sheds. We had excuse my French, a hell of a turnout from our bodies for taking over one of our sheds down and cleaning up. And I want to really thank the good turnout that we had. I think everybody in this park is really stepping up to the plate. Thank you. Next, tree trimming. We had 18 people show up for trimming the trees. That is really good turnout. And that is not even my department, as far as I know. But anyway, it's really done, and for those who honestly think we over-trimmed, I'm sorry, that a lot of the trees had to be brought down because they haven't been trimmed for a while. So that's the only explanation. I'm not an expert on trimming or pruning or whatever you want to call it. It could have been trimming instead of pruning. But we apologize if we offended anybody. but next year you show up.
And all of those trees will grow back and be beautiful and plentiful. Okay, well, we've handled all the committee reports. We have unfinished business, and that will be the Jackson Jails guidelines. Do I have a motion on the guidelines?
Madam President?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the Jackson Gills guidelines as presented.
And do I have a second from Sharon?
Okay.
She was first, Bev.
Okay.
Okay. And,
Fight.
let's see. Is there any discussion on this from the table? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. How many are motion to accept the guidelines of the Jackson Jails? Raise your hand.
Presented.
Pardon?
As presented.
As presented. Okay, that's 5 here. Susie
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
Are there any noes? Hearing none, the motion is passed, 7, 4, 1 absent. Done. Okay. Now we'll go to new business.
Madam President,
Yes.
on the new business, instead of the composting guidelines being the first business, it really should be the garden committee report. And then the composting will be kind of within the garden report. And Jill is here.
Okay, so we're going to hear the report first.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to stretch. All the way. Thank you. Good job. Oh, excuse me, folks, I gave you a treat. Okay. For little people. All right. I think I can speak through the mask. I think I can speak without a mic, but, okay, this is my very first time doing this. This is Jill Golden, lot 68. And on December 28th, our ad hoc committee on the feasibility of a community garden and composting for the park members met for the first time. I was selected as chair, and Ann David is co-chair. And Sharon Elliott is our board liaison. Our main focus during this past month was to find locations for both the garden and the composting. On January 11th, we met with Randy and discussed this. And with his assistance, we have found a site for composting, just past the storage area. It will be where they will move the logs that are the log pile, and that would be the area that we are proposing for composting to be set up. And Melinda will speak a little bit about that after my report. And Melinda Stanfield is overseeing that part of it. As far as the garden, we were going to propose an area in the back 40, which we thought was great, until Randy made us aware of flooding, summer burn zones, and other limitations that would be a problem for us. So we are now, would like to propose 3 sites in the park to be considered, because we can't really do anything unless we have a home. And the first site is the triangle of grass, right to the south of the clubhouse, behind the clubhouse over here. It is centrally located in the park, making it easily accessible for carts, for golf carts. There's a parking area here at the clubhouse for cars and along the path on the west side for the carts. It is secure from outsiders
outsiders and that we don't have to worry about our neighbors deciding to come in. However, those critters will still require a fence. And it does get full sun all day. It is also, because it is right near the clubhouse, for people who have needs, some people, I can't imagine who, to use the bathroom here or who want to wash up or whatever. It is flat and water is readily accessible. There is a spigot out there, and if necessary, we can put a meter on it. If that would be to be discussed further. So that's number one site, and I do have a map of the park with all of these sites noted. Site 2 is the open grass between the dog run and lot 206. So everybody basically got the image? Okay. It's easily accessible, again, parking for cars, access by carts, full sun all day, bathroom over by the office during the days, during the weekdays. It is flat. There's availability of water at the dog run. There is room to expand if it was found necessary. And there is a shed there that Randy said we could use for tools that was set up at one time. I don't know if it's being used for anything, but it is being used. Is it?
Chapter 9 uses that.
Chapter 9 uses that.
And
Okay.
landscape has some stuff in there, yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. And then site 3, because we wanted to have 3 sites, is the greenway between Spruce Run and the storage area behind the behind the trailers on, and it is flat, it's accessible, and we can have water there in storage tanks that we would have on wheels and be able to bring the tanks to the spigot or run a long hose from Randy to fill it up. So that is our third proposal. It's not great, but it's a possibility.
Joe, I go back. 1, 2, and 3, are those in order of what the subcommittee thought was preferable?
You can tell 3 is at the bottom.
Okay.
1 and 2, I think, are pretty equal, actually. I think it's just that the third one is because we wanted to have 3. And I spotted one other area that was possible, but again, that's only if you say no to the other areas, then we'll keep looking. Okay, so I do have a photo of a garden with raised beds. It's not ours, of course, but to give you folks an idea of what that would look like, we have a little map here. We have, and another thing that was determined when we met on Tuesday is that we are going to need more members on our committee because we will be losing two of our members to travel by April. We will be down to 4 members, and 2 of them are not 4 members of the committee, and 2 of them are not members yet. By then they may be, and Sharon. So we will be publicizing that. We'll be putting it in on the website, asking for more involvement if it seems to be moving along, and that'll be up to you folks. The composting, I would like for Melinda to speak a little bit about what's going on with the composting. Does anybody have any questions about what I've presented so far? George?
Jerry?
Yeah, I have a question about the size of the areas for the garden. How big is that area by the clubhouse? Did anybody measure
Yeah,
it?
we have it. We have to measure it out with the tape measure, because 2 different people came up with 2 very different measurements. But over there, we're coming up with approximately 3, is that really? A perimeter of 296 feet.
About how much?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jill.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. I believe it says square meters here, so I'm not quite sure, 319 square meters. And I can't, I didn't do it. Off the top of my head, tell you what that actually means, Ann.
Just a second, John.
Measured it off on Google. He drew straight lines. He didn't go all the way to the end on it. That's probably where the discrepancy is. He tried to switch it over to foot, instead of meters. One went to feet, one went to meters. I don't know what it is.
Okay, but we looked at it and we may have to make we were originally thinking 4 by 12 plots, now we're looking at 4 by 8 plots. So we are accommodating our plans to the area, whatever that location ends up being, we will accommodate. Then we will begin the design of that area once we have something.
Does that answer your question, John? If there's a delay.
Well, it just doesn't sound like it's a very large area, and I don't know how many people are interested in a garden.
I understand that,
So-
and what we are looking at is a first-year garden. I mean, ideally, the dog run has a lot more space. The area by the dog run has a lot more space. This is a little more central in the park and tucked into the park. The area by the dog run provides us with a lot more area. We felt that initially, we would present this at the annual meeting, get a sense of interest from the membership, and from there, we would be able to determine, and if we had to, we would have a lottery system on the first year for people to see who gets the garden, and if it's that popular, then we'll look into having a secondary garden somewhere or moving it someplace that would work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Susie, did you have anything to say or ask?
No, I don't, but thank you very much for asking.
Okay. Jerry?
Yeah, I'd like to have an idea what sort of decisions you would expect the board to make and when, so that we know what we are expected,
Okay,
expected,
sure.
but what
Sure.
you hope we would be able to do.
Okay, well, first off, we would like permission to go ahead with the composting in that area that Randy has proposed for us to use. He will move, he's already offered to move those logs out of the way once we get the approval from the board to do the composting back there. As far as the garden, that's going to be a year off, but we would love to have a location approved so that we can begin to look at design and costs involved, how much, to be able to have a better idea of how far we can go. If we have twice the amount of space, then we can look at bigger raised gardens.
And when would a decision be wanted on the garden?
On the garden, yesterday, because I'm very anxious, but.
Well, we're not gonna do it yesterday, but when would you want it in the future?
I would say by the next board meeting. I'm assuming you folks want to have a chance to discuss and look at things. I would hope by the next board meeting or agenda, I don't know the actual technicalities of it, but by the next meeting. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, we just wanted to know.
Okay.
I think we can put it on the agenda, meeting next month.
Okay, we'll continue then. Jill, do you have some drawings and
Yeah.
figures in your hand that would be beneficial to us?
Yes, I do. I'll bring them over to you.
Okay, we'll make copies of that and the board will have it in their possession, we'll look at it.
Okay.
And we'll,
And if you need something more, we are going to go out with a tape measure because we got two different measurements. Google doesn't agree with somebody else's feet. So we're gonna go with the tape measure, and so may I present this to you afterwards with that information accurate?
right,
And measure out the dog run as well, because we haven't done that.
good idea. Jim had something.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
On the composting,
Yes,
the area that Randy picked,
yes.
could you be a little more specific on exactly where that was? Is that out past the burn pile, or is that on the south side of the road?
She'll make a report.
I have no idea what direction that is.
She's gonna make a report.
But Melinda will answer all the questions about the composting.
One at a time.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna step down.
okay, you're
I'm
finished.
just gonna
Yeah.
clarify that.
Okay, it's the burn
It's,
pile.
it's the north side of the road and just east of the drainage ditch.
So it's between the drainage ditch and the burn
And the
pile?
burn pile. It's left of the burn pile.
Wait,
Okay.
we have a picture
Oh,
now.
Looking at the burn pile from which direction?
raised beds for your garden.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mention it because, I don't, whatever. We are planning on raised beds, and that is for the benefit of us. It's gonna be no dig gardening, nothing, we're not breaking ground, there's a method for all of this. And there will be raised beds with little edges around the bed, so those of us who do not want to stand for long periods of time can sit while they're working.
Okay,
Okay?
good. Before you sit down, Jill, Aida, you have a question?
Yes, Aida Murphy, Lot 56. This may not even be relevant, but is there a concern of odor from fertilizer, et cetera?
We won't be using any, this is organic.
Okay.
So there will be no fertilizer or, and with the, I'm sorry, no pesticides, none of that stuff will be used with our garden. It'll only smell lovely for the flowers and herbs that we decorate the garden with.
That's a guarantee?
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna face it towards your lot.
Thank you.
So you'll be able to
Okay.
enjoy it.
One more question. John?
John Leonard, lot 33. I'm concerned about the compost attracting rats.
Well, okay, if you, yeah.
And I have 2 trailers that are about as close to that site as you can.
Sure, I understand that, and we have, I believe we can answer, Melinda will answer that when she talks about the composting. We have addressed that.
Okay, we'll have a report on that. So any more questions about the location from Jill? Okay, thank you, Jill, and
Thank you.
you'll submit that once you
I
have
will
your
submit
numbers.
that, she will get the measurements this afternoon.
Okay, so now we'll have the report on the compost.
Okay.
Thank you, Melinda, Melinda, AWL 13, I think, as of today. Yeah, getting there. This is the composting report of the subcommittee of the garden, ad hoc committee of the garden. As Joe said, we met with Randy, and he determined that this would be the best spot. I agree, it's a very nice location. It is close to where people can bring their own compost. We're working on perhaps picking up compost from the individuals, but that needs to be worked out. We also, he did say that he would move the logs, he would be glad to move the logs for us and prepare it for the bins. We have started collecting the pallets for the composting bins. We're planning on building 3. And we also are working on what we put into composting here. Our home composting, we would be able to put kitchen scraps in, but I'm unwilling to go through other people's kitchen scraps to look for bones, etc., because we do not want animals to come into the composting. So there will be no kitchen scraps, no bones, no animal products, only clippings from your yard, grass clippings, leaves, organic material would be put into composting in layers.
And coffee grounds. And
coffee grounds and tea bags would be allowed. We'll have coffee ground collection in here. We are also working on instructions for individual members. I've actually made a poster on what we would put into composting, and we are suggesting having a training workshop. I think it's on the 4th?
Yeah.
First Friday at 3 o'clock. Training for membership on what we will compost, and also how to do it. Hopefully we'll know whether we can have the availability of gathering compost from individual members if they can't bring it out themselves. The composting committee will be the people that actually put the material into the bins. That will not be individual members, only the composting committee will do that. So we're asking permission to be able to start the composting so that we can have it ready for the garden in a year from now.
Okay, do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
Any questions?
Put it on new business.
Okay.
Yeah, you talked about only the members of the composting committee can bring put stuff into the bins.
Right.
If I, for instance, bring something out, where would I put it? And,
Pile next to the burn pile so that if it's not compostable material, we can just scoop it into the burn pile.
and should I bring my, if I should bring my household stuff out there,
No.
what's
No,
gonna prevent that?
That's the problem. That's why we will have it next to it, but we don't want any kitchen garbage at all. The normal things that I would put in my composting bin, I don't want to sort through to
No,
make sure.
I understand, but human nature as it is, people will inadvertently or purposely bring stuff out there that is inappropriate for the composting pile.
Then we
And
will
that,
deal with it the same way that Randy deals with the inappropriate material in the truck right now.
okay, I mean, there is the concern about animals and rats and whatnot.
That would be
Is there be an
extended-
ongoing thing to prevent?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we put it into a garbage can out there that has a lid on it so that the animals can't get into it before it goes into the composting pile? Would that be something that could be done?
That is a possibility, but I would hope that the other possibility is to just put the material in the truck that's out there now with the sign next to it. And then we can take the material from there to the compost bin.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
that's what-
possibility I was thinking of. It would be nice to have a pile next to the compost bin, but as you know, human nature.
Well, I think this concern about animals and scavengers would be of a significant concern.
Yes.
Sharon, you had your hand?
Yes, the type of composting that we're considering is the same kind that's up on the trails. When you walk through there, you know, it's nature's way of composting. And then when it gets to a point where it's hot, animals can't tolerate that kind of heat. So that's another deterrent for rats or whomever, mice and little things. We'll also be using worms because that's a natural assistance to composting. And we'll be collecting newspapers and cardboard in addition. And then at some point in the future, we're thinking about a way that members can take their their cuttings from, you know, dead flowers and from the trees and whatever, and put it out in front, and at some point, we can pick it up and transport it back to the composting.
Thank you. Sure. I do have a poster that is made that's available that I can give to you.
Yeah.
What's on that poster?
I will get it.
It's really cool.
My concern is, and maybe as we talk about this, is they want permission to start the compost. Okay.
Yes.
But we need to have something in writing now that we can adhere to of the what and the where.
Okay.
Here, where? Nice.
I guess what we're asking for is permission to start building the bins before our member that is the carpenter leaves the lot.
Okay. Okay. So we'll start with building a bin to start it, and then you will put together the guidelines of what and where to put it once we get it.
Yes.
Because like Jerry has a concern about people don't read the signs. They'll just go down there and dump all of their wet garbage or whatever. I don't know. Look at our red dumpster. You know what we have put in there that shouldn't be put in there.
Yes.
So it is a concern with dumping stuff.
Yes, I can totally understand that. My ideal, if we could get additional members besides myself and my husband, would be to have a cart go around once a week and pick up people's clippings. That would be my ideal. But I don't want to do that myself every week. So we would need a group of people to be able to do that. And we don't have a cart at this time, so we would need the use of a cart and trailer.
Okay, so it's still in the planning stages. First step is, will the board allow you to start?
Right.
Okay,
Building the compost bins.
okay.
Yes.
Are there any questions about this from the audience? Okay.
Mark.
Oh, Mark, okay.
For you, just real quick, can the logs back there be repurposed for the bins? That's a no-cost deal. There's a bunch of logs back there.
Yes, actually, we are building them out of pallets, which are no cost, and wire and cardboard. So it is already no cost. Actually, the logs to perimeter, the area would be nice.
Jerry?
I would like to make a motion that we allow the ad hoc committee to start their building of the compost bins and report back to us then, and then provide us, well, let's just stop there.
Okay, grant that one.
I second the motion.
Well, it sounded like Jim beat you, so Jim seconds that motion.
You snooze, you lose.
Okay. The motion is to allow the ad hoc committee to start building of the compost bins, period.
Yep.
All right. Those in favor? Unanimous here. Susie?
Yes.
Okay, and John? John? Did we lose you, John?
No, I had it on mute, yes.
Okay. All right. Any opposed? Whoop, I'm sorry. Any discussion from the board?
Too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
7 and 1 absent.
And then, okay, the vote passes 7-4, 1 absent. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. Okay.
Thank you.
The next one is the election committee guidelines. Do I have a motion on that? Who is the?
I move,
Okay, Sharon.
I move that we accept the election guidelines with the changes that have included the wording from leaseholders to members.
I second.
And second by Jim. Is there any discussion on these guidelines for election? Hearing none, I will take the vote. How many are in favor?
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Hello,
sorry, John.
you there?
Yes, we're
Yeah,
here.
well, I just want to point out one small little thing in reading it, and maybe I'm wrong, but it says, a master copy of the ballot must be prepared for use in making copies for mailing. The ballot must contain, and then it says, of a list of candidates. Maybe that should say, contain a list of candidates, but it just sounds not worded properly.
I think he's right.
I'm looking for that page.
That's on the first
Oh, the
page.
first page, okay.
A1.
No wonder I'm looking at Jackson Jones guidelines. Okay. See, no voting there. Okay. Okay. Hold on, John.
Yeah, page 2.
Page 1, item A1.
A master copy of the ballot.
What is the, what, no, it's the ballot must.
It's the second line.
Second line.
A.
It should be A.
Yeah, it should be a list
Copies
instead of.
Oh, contain A, so we'll put an A in there.
Just make your motion as amended.
Okay.
I amend the motion to include an A after the word of in the,
No, instead of.
instead of,
Yeah.
instead of, on the preparation of the ballots of the first A1.
And I second the amended motion.
Okay, so that's been seconded again by Jim. Is there any discussion? John?
No?
Susie?
No,
Thank you. I will take the vote now. How many are in favor to the amended motion to accept as corrected, or amended? A unanimous here, Susie?
yes,
John?
Yes?
Thank you. The motion passes 7, 1 absent. Okay. Standing customs of a small board. Okay, that's Jim.
Madam President, I move that the board codify the existing 6 standing customs of the board listed below as per Robert's Rules of Order. 1, board members do not have to stand up to obtain the floor before speaking. 2, board members can raise their hands to get recognized. 3, board members can speak while seated. 4, board members can speak any number of times. Motions to limit or close debate are in order. 5, unless they agree by unanimous consent, board members must vote on proposed board actions just like other assemblies. However, a vote can be taken by a show of hands. 6, the chair doesn't have to stand to put a question to a vote. I further move that with the exception of these 6 practices, all other small board actions allowed for small boards in Robert's Rules of Order be conducted as if the Timber Valley Board of Directors was a large board.
Let me see your motion. You wrote it down.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button and disconnected us.
Oh. Does that mean you want to repeat? John? Did you hear what Jim was saying?
I'm sorry?
Did you hear Jim reading his motion?
Yeah, and I say yes, and I said yes.
Okay.
Well, wait, which motion is it?
To codify the existing standing custom of the board, how we practice our board meetings.
Oh, yes, okay.
We have been doing that. This just makes it official, okay? Is there a second on this?
I second it.
Okay.
Since I have the first bite of the apple.
And
Are
the
there-
discussion, there we go.
Yeah, are there any questions from any of the membership, or is there any confusion of what this does? Basically, it changes nothing on how we do business, but what it does is it protects the board and the park from a board member saying, well, wait a minute, there's things in Robert's Rules of Order that the president can vote. Or you don't have to have a second, have a motion. And there's other things that we do not practice that we could as a small board. So by voting on this and approving it, then the only way that that could be changed is if the board voted to change it, which they can do at any time. But basically it protects the way we've always done business.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, I will take the vote. How many are in favor of the motion to codify our customs to this? We have 5 here. Susie?
yes,
And John?
Yes?
Thank you. Any noes? Hearing none, the motion's passed. 7, 4, and 1 absent. Just to show our members something.
Are we supposed to read that?
No, this was a book, this is a binder. And this was what Jim read to us and we accepted it. It was in there. Okay, this is a book that Jim put a lot of time and a lot of effort into this book for the workshop. And it's very beneficial to board members and how they proceed with the board meetings. A lot of questions, a lot of answers. Excellent. Hopefully, when some of us, like myself and Jim, leave the table this next year, that we will pass this on to the next board members. And Jim will probably continue to update it, or board members will update it as we need it. But, I mean, a lot of work. It was really, really, really good. And I just wanted to give him a good pat on the shoulder here. But now my question to Jim, now that it's been passed, you and I had a conversation. Where will this board-approved procedure go? So that we know where it is and how to find it. It won't just be lost in our monthly meeting as a motion.
And I don't have an answer to that, although I'm hoping that it will be included in future board workshops, which I'm hoping we will continue as a practice in the park.
Yes, Jerry?
Well, if it's to be codified, then it should go into our rules. I don't see it going into the bylaws, but I see it going into our rules and procedures that the park has. And maybe we should have something in there that talks about board operations, a section in the rules that talks about board operations, and this would be part of that, I would suspect.
Board operations, that's a good title. Right, because,
Look at that.
I just came up with that on the spur of the moment.
excellent,
Something else to write.
right. Well, let me get this here. Even though this book is excellent, it has not been board approved. We just took this one sheet out, and it's board approved and dated as of today. I know I talked to Jim about it, and I said it'd probably be good once it's signed and official after today to put this in this book, so future board members will see how to handle the board meeting. So it sounds like we need to discuss this more with the board and maybe with the workshop coming up, but I like Jerry's idea also. So, anyway,
I'll give you landscape, budget next,
okay.
or landscape,
Back here.
for Randy, for their budget not being rolled into Randy's.
Where is the landscaping on here?
No, it was brought up by Dar, and we need to vote on it.
Oh, okay.
Don't want you to forget it.
Oh, okay. I thought that was going to be on the next meeting.
No, I thought it was gonna be this meeting.
The landscaping committee guidelines?
Budget.
No, budget.
Where's it gonna fall?
And she wants it today?
Yep.
Okay. Well, since it was an add-on, shall we put it as at the end of the list?
If you want, we can put it on other.
Yeah, that'll go under other. Hiring Melissa, that'll be Jerry, I'm sure.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the park convert our office staff person, Melissa Hanna, from a temporary employee status under contract through express employment to a permanent part-time employee status of the park effective January 31st, 2022, the first pay period after this board meeting, period. For informational purposes, we have a contract with Express Employment, and in discussions with my liaison there at the employment agency, it will cost us approximately $1,100, $1,100 to $1,200 as a fee to be paid to Express Employment to make this conversion from them to us.
I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion on the hiring of Melissa? Are we going to discuss her salary, or is that another time?
I do have a second motion regarding salary, if you'd like me to discuss it now.
No, we'll handle that
We
second.
do one and then the other.
Right, okay. The motion is to hire Melissa as a full-time, part-time employee.
Permanent part-time.
Permanent, okay, permanent. Yes to that, raise your hands, please. Unanimous here. Susie
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
The motion to hire Melissa is passed, 7 and 1 absent. Did you have another motion, Jerry?
I'd like to make a motion that we start Melissa with a starting salary of $17 an hour and have her initially work approximately 20 hours a week at such time as it may be deemed necessary by the business manager. Her hours per week could be increased. And for informational purposes, the plan is to have Melissa work part-time until approximately April or May timeframe, and then start to work full-time through the summer as in the office is the most busy, and then return to part-time around October.
I second the motion.
Thank you. That's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Yes, Jerry?
Just for information purposes, I guess, I think it's, well, let me stop there. No more information here.
No information. Okay. Is that a motion? Okay, the motion then is to hire Melissa with a starting salary of $17 an hour as part-time at 20 hours, to be expanded as for the summer. Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous here. Susie
Yes.
and John. And John.
Yes.
Okay, 7-4 and 1 absent. Okay, like that. Welcome Committee golf cart.
Linda Essex, Lot 13, and I'm co-chair on the Welcome Committee golf cart. And Cheryl Henry had proposed at that particular time, at the agenda meeting, at the agenda meeting, our cart was not working. Since then, Randy, jack of all trades, has repaired it. It was a relay switch or something was keeping it from working. And we are now back in business. But what was also discussed was the need for a thorough checkup of this older cart. Instead of waiting for it to break down or whatever. And in other words, the batteries, the connections, the different things that can happen to this grand old lady. So I was wondering, we have not, that I know of, gone ahead and got an estimate of what that kind of work would be. Is there, and if there would be an interest in doing that from the board, seeing as it is the park asset. We would just want some guidance there as to how that would be.
I have a question. Is that an electric or a motorized?
Yes, it is electric.
It is electric. I think in the interest of promoting this, I'm going to make a motion. I move that the board authorize a fee of not to exceed $500 for a outside evaluation of the golf cart to see if it needs, what it needs, and whether the park's needs would best be met by upgrading the cart or replacing it.
Okay, and that $500 would come out of what budget?
It would just have to come out of the general fund, the board's overly done budget, whatever.
You're saying general fund or something else?
Yeah, general fund.
general fund.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Not yet.
And is there a second for
I
that?
second it.
That's second by Rocky. Discussion. Jerry, I'm sorry.
What is the cost of new carts first? Second is, what is the value of that old cart? Are we just putting money into something that may or may not last?
That's why the evaluation, my purpose of the evaluation was to find out whether we're beating a dead horse or whether it's well worth keeping. I believe, if memory serves, and it may not, several years ago, we purchased that car. I believe it was $1,500, I believe is what the park paid for that cart several years ago.
2004.
Well,
That's required. 2014.
I was gonna say, no.
Yeah,
it was
2014.
okay.
I had
So-
4.
So 7 years ago, so the cart had some use. I think one of the outside concerns should look at the cart and say, yes, it's worth putting money into this because the bones are good, or you're beating a dead horse. And if we don't know the answer to that question, we don't know which way to go.
Okay, I know the batteries were replaced, I think it's going on the 4th year for the batteries.
Yeah, they
And that
may
was,
be-
that was $600, and those last 6 to 8 years if we're lucky. But that cart is used daily. They just replaced, it was a starter solenoid, and we don't have the cost on that yet. We don't have a bill on it yet. I checked yesterday. Or do we now? Oh.
I can answer that.
Oh, Dick knows.
It was $17 and change.
Is that all? Wow.
Well, I could have spent more.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe you should have.
But Randy didn't charge us for replacing it, right?
Yeah, that was a discussion, right, okay. Let me have Jerry and then John, you can speak. Jerry?
I might suggest that, I understand that Randy has also recently been donated another cart, another electric cart, and whether that's available, and I don't want to spend money on something that we may not need to just yet until a decision has been made, maybe by Randy, in terms of what we have, and whether that's really needed. I don't know. Right now, I don't know. I have not had Randy tell me that that is what he wants or that is what is needed, so that's just what I'm saying.
Okay, Rocky?
The cart that the park just acquired, needs a lot more work. So,
Yeah, that's what he told me. He was evaluating it to see if he even wanted to keep it, to do any maintenance to it, and so that's evolving.
yeah, and because the welcome wagon cart is used extensively all day long, the cart he just acquired may not fit that bill. We'll find out when he tears into it.
Okay,
He does know that it needs batteries.
okay. Yes, John?
John, under lot 33, electric carts are pretty low tech, so there's not that much can go wrong, relays and stuff like that. And maybe bearings in the wheels, so maybe that's something we can do in-house.
Tire.
Not like rebuilding a gas engine or something.
Mhm.
In-house is more advantageous.
Okay, that's good input. Susie and John, did you hear that comment from him? The low maintenance on electric?
No.
Okay. He was advising that maintenance on an electric car is pretty low maintenance. So you don't have to lube anything, put oil in or any of that good stuff with an engine. Just keep those batteries fresh and the water, mainly. Well, we've had a second on the motion. Okay. Any more discussion? I shall take the vote then. How many?
Yeah, I think that $500 is a lot just to have them check it out, because like there isn't a lot to check out. It's the batteries and some wiring, and basically you have it checked out. So I think that seems quite high. Probably wouldn't hurt to check it out, but like that gentleman said, there's very little maintenance on it. And maybe, there's a tester for the batteries to see if they're good. Has anyone done that? So I think maybe Randy ought to take a look at it, test the batteries, check the water, and I don't think $500, I think that's too much.
Then
Okay,
make another motion.
okay. Linda, you had a comment from the Welcome Committee?
Regarding the everyday maintenance, when it changes hands at the, weekly, it's charged, it's watered, the batteries are watered. We have George Boykin, and we put that apparatus in for us to be able to, Jerry, anybody, thank you for doing that, because it makes it so much easier for us to do that. And those are our duty, part of our duty to have it maintenance every week. But as far as, like you were saying, the bearings and everything in the wheels, I'm not sure about that kind of thing, and whether it needs, right now, I'm considering a new tire for my own, because it runs around on, it's supposed to, those tires are really supposed to be on grass, and they go on the asphalt daily. So, that's a possibility that could be a recommendation, and we would know a price of it. And this 500, it's not to exceed 500, to have somebody give a professional opinion about it. We all have one, that's for sure. But I just wanted you to know that some of the things do get done on a regular basis.
Thank you for that input. Did you have something further to say, John?
Sure. My wife was talking about, okay. So during winter, the worst thing you can happen to a battery is to have it not fully charged, because they're likely to freeze. And so I always advocate to her that she plug it in all the while, because if it's plugged into power, it'll charge until it doesn't need any more charge. But to run a cart for a few days and say, well, I think it's probably still got enough battery to get in the ground, is not the right approach. They need to be plugging it in, even though it's a little inconvenient, so that they're fully charged when we have really cold weather, sub-zero or sub-freezing. It's just something that I don't know that everybody is aware of.
Well, maybe that can be brought up in the Welcome Committee's discussions about doing that during the winter months. That's good to know. Jerry?
Just one more quick question. George, do you have any idea what it cost us when we've taken the golf carts up to the place in Eugene that works on them?
We've been going local here.
Is it local?
George Boykin, lot 87. We've been going local here to a couple of mechanics that works on the golf carts for anything we've been wanting to do. And I take mine to these guys, this one gentleman, and some of the people here in the park are disappointed in the way things came out with him, but he's always treated me nice. But there is other people that we don't have to go way out of town to do that, and they can check them out. And the other comment I've got to make, and I should have already, golf carts are on Randy's budget, not Welcome Committee's budget to maintain. So that's something for you guys to consider.
Yeah.
Because that's where your money comes from.
Oh, okay. Take back
That's
the
my
500.
understanding, and that's the way Randy says it is. So-
You're right, George.
So I'll
He's-
leave it there. Something
Thank
to
you.
think about.
Okay.
Thank you, George.
Well, I do know the Welcome Committee had a problem with the brakes, and a man by the name of Chris had it replaced. He worked on the brakes on the Welcome golf cart, and there was a bill on it, I forgot what it was, $100, couple hundred, for the braking system, pads and whatever it needed. But that came out
well, it was under Randy's, it was, the park paid for it. The park paid for that, so, there we go. Yes, Linda?
There are two that I have used and several other persons here in the park, and they come and get them. So it's not something we have to figure out how to take it over to. So they will come, load it up, take it, bring it back. So, and they have been very, very fair in their pricing for things that I have done. So I just, I think this is something that Judy Leonard and I and a few others will discuss a little bit further, but what we wanted was the permission to, I mean, the actual logistics of it. But we wanted to have the permission to go ahead and have it assessed.
Which is the motion I made. Which is the motion I made.
Right, that's your original, there hadn't been, and it hasn't been amended. I just have one question, George. I know you and Randy were used tires, the batteries, wiring, etc. And we don't have to send it out. Could it be done in-house with the manager?
That can be done. That can be done, and like Randy's assessing what we have now, just received the latest one. And this morning, he said it was running good, but very slow. The batteries did come up, but we have a load tester there, and he is going to put a load test on each individual battery to find out what they are. That can be done on this part here too. And go from there, you know, because like you say, there's 4 years on the battery. It's something that's been charged every night, which is a good point. If you keep them charged up, these doggone batteries, I just had a motorhome go out of here, and it's 10 years and still got the original batteries in them, and they still perform. So if you keep them charged, the batteries work. If you let them go down, they go down quick, and they don't come back. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
in fairness to the $500 thing, if, you know, if that's what you want to do, I guess you have it done. But I would talk to the, I'm gonna quit saying Randy, park manager, to assess that,
To evaluate it.
evaluate it.
Right.
And then go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more discussion from the members on this? I know we have the pending motion here. Let me ask the question. Susie and John, are you still there?
Oh, they lost the connection. She sent me an email.
Oh, okay, so we need to
Text
dial
message.
him in.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute, we gotta dial him back in. I can't reach it.
If they just leave it alone, they put the motion. Over and over time.
No. It becomes unfinished business.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. Access code or phone number you have dialed is incorrect. Please check your credentials and try. Welcome and thank you for choosing Free Conference. If you are the host, Press stop now. Please enter your PIN followed by the pound or hash. Thank you. You are the only participant in the conference.
They'll be calling in just 2 minutes probably. We'll dance.
You emailing them or texting?
We're only halfway through.
What is it, timeout?
Yeah, time out.
Under new business.
Stand up and stretch.
This should be unlimited.
No, it shouldn't time out. It has
Isn't this unlimited?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's not the answer I wanted.
No.
I'm sorry.
We don't know.
I got answers for everything but that.
Okay.
Looking like you guys need a recess. People are lining up for the bathroom and everything.
Oh, well, they got a break right now while they sign back in.
Yeah. It just goes to post.
We got the pending motion, okay?
Yeah, well, what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to ask Linda, because Randy says he'll look at it, is that good enough for her, or they want it still independent? And then I'll either keep my motion or withdraw it.
As I understand it, he went through, he's been through it, get up, trying to find out what was feeling like.
Yeah.
Just recently.
Well, yeah, he just got it fixed.
Right.
Yeah, because this was put on the agenda.
Turned the heat
Before
on.
that,
Yeah.
right.
Before it was fixed.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right. Maybe,
So I don't know that,
maybe we
See, I
should
hadn't-
withdraw it and refer it to Randy to see if he can do a regular maintenance on it. Like once a
Is this something
year.
that we want?
Thanks, Linda.
I mean, is this something that we want to be put into this ballpark? I didn't know, I didn't know we were messing with it.
Oh, yeah.
well, it's on his, it's on, thank you. It's on his, asset list. It's on his, down to page 8.
Okay, it is. It's on his,
Right.
okay.
And it's in his budget
Did
to
you send
take
it to
care of
him
it.
to get back on?
I did. But we're,
Okay. Are you there?
No, it's music.
I know. Well, it doesn't necessarily stop when they sign back in.
yeah, I sent them both a text.
Maybe you should call them, because text may not.
Benefits and, oh, okay. And compensation. Well, 8 pages is more than there was to begin with. Yep, and this is single space. Yeah. More than
Is this still being taped?
spaces with pictures.
Is this still being taped?
Pages with pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
A big job, but well needed. Yeah. And what we're doing is small business people that I met today.
I would have given you a copy to put in for your information if you didn't have it.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
get it for my first year.
And so it's designed for picking and choosing.
For your information, that's was passed back to 18. Yes.
I know you were talking about landscape, but I didn't hear. I think Bob Dar was wanting to get some kind of a motion.
Yeah, it's on, we're gonna address it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an add-on. I thought she meant the next meeting, but she means it now.
Done now.
Yeah, it's gonna be done now.
Okay.
Agenda setting. Agenda/workshop.
A lot of this should have been.
Should have what?
We'd have had all the, you know,
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't know about this until I read it on the 40 years. I said, what do you mean there's a...
There are only two of them.
Okay. Are you there, John?
Yep, I'm back.
Okay, Susie?
Refusing to cooperate.
Okay, we're waiting for Susie to call in.
Let's turn the volume up because we had a hard time hearing John.
Eventually, they could be kicked out of the disciplinary letter. Yeah.
Susie, are you there? Susie not here yet.
They're just.
Dialing in? Okay, John's on.
Stop this thing. My
Do a test on John. Talk to John.
Susie's back.
Okay, and John, are you here?
I am.
Okay, hold on a minute. We're missing a board member. I won't go get him.
Knock on the door.
Yeah, oh.
Yeah, they're gonna vote on it next meeting. No, they're gonna vote on it next meeting. Vote on it next meeting. Next meeting.
This needs to be rewritten.
Next meeting.
Use their current vernacular.
I don't hear music.
They're both on.
All right.
Okay.
Where's Rocky?
Rocky's right there. Rocky?
Oh, okay. Because I gotta be out of here about 12.
Rocky?
Okay.
So,
George, will you see if there's anybody outside to come in, please?
Excuse me?
See if there's anybody outside to come in. We're ready to go.
Can I get a copy of
When we start, okay?
Thank you.
You okay? Yeah. Okay.
Did you get Jill's?
yeah.
No, but I will. Okay. I'll call her.
Okay, we're back in order. Unfortunately, we lost Susie and John about 11:10, and now they're back on at 11:18. So we'll resume our meeting here. Mark, you're standing, you have a
Just
question?
one brief comment on this golf cart repair. We have the expertise in-house. Randy, with help of George and a few volunteers, are very, very good at fixing these golf carts. I think this is an assignment of who does what problem, and not a spend money to fix a problem. Just my comment.
Good comment, thank you.
Madam President,
Yes, Jim?
in light of the fact that the golf cart has been fixed and that Randy is willing and supposedly able to look at the golf cart, I withdraw my motion.
Okay, motion is withdrawn at this time. Thank you. Thank you for all the input. Okay. We can have the senior support information from Jim.
Yes, at the agenda meeting, I passed out to the board and I put out on the tables, there were 5 agencies that are no cost, that are senior support agencies and their telephone numbers. And I would like to make a motion that the board put a cover letter and or introduction, and that those 5 numbers and their descriptions be put on something which is passed out to the members in their mailbox, and also that this is put on the website for those who are not in the park to have access in case they can use those services.
Do I have a second on that?
No, no.
Okay. Do I have a second at all?
Well, I'll second it.
Okay. Now we have a discussion.
Okay. I'd like to suggest to Tom as the communications leader that this be printed on the park's yellow pages when it's updated, because I think this would be an appropriate place for them to be.
Can you get me the electronic file for that?
There isn't one.
Oh, there isn't.
The what?
The file.
It came to me as a piece of paper.
Oh.
So I do not have an electronic copy unless I can, OCR.
We can create one.
Okay.
What are you calling this again? What is this?
This is senior support information.
Okay.
Or senior support helplines, I guess would be more accurate.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I understand how important this is and that people should be getting it, but we do create an awful lot of paper around here, and putting it in their mailboxes is just more paper as far as I'm concerned, and whether people will, there's no sense in doing online and paper and all this other sort of stuff. I think putting it on the yellow pages and maybe some reference somewhere, but just creating paper, I don't know. That's my opinion.
And I have a disagreement with Jerry on this issue. My view is that if you put it, let's say in the office or put it on the website, those who really need it, someone who's depressed or having problems that could use these services are not going to feel like going out and finding the information. If they've got it in their mail, they may throw it away. But if we put it in the mail at least once, at least it gets out to the members that are in the park.
Okay.
It goes to every member. If it goes to the mailbox, it goes to every member, period.
Right, all 206. Linda, comment?
I'm planning on February 11th, a person is going to come and a qualified person coming to give information about alternatives to living here at Timber Valley. And I've asked for a copy of these to be a handout to go with that speaker's presentation. So I think we will have quite a few people coming to that too. That little box in the mail room seems to be like a good place too for people to pick things out of there to get information on.
Okay. Any more comments on this? Then I will go for a vote. How many are in favor of a senior support helpline and to be submitted, shared on the web, the Timber Valley log, and to each member in the park? Raise your hand. There's 5 here. Susie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-4, 1 absent. Okay. Yes, Tom?
Just to clarify, with the way we're doing the log now, it's basically an online document. We have copies that can be picked up in the office, but it's kind of redundant if we put it on the website and on the log.
Website.
Do you have any comments, Joan?
Well, I would agree.
Yeah.
I'm happy to put it in the log, but do you really want to twice?
Yeah, it would be a duplication.
Okay, then we'll.
Just give us some latitude on that.
Sure. Okay, then it will be on the website only.
Yes.
We'll
Yes?
do the log. We'll, can you hear me? Will people who don't normally get on the website have access to that information somewhere else?
It's going to be put in the mailbox also.
Okay.
What we need though is a cover letter, and I would be happy to get with the communications committee and anyone else who's interested in giving just a little one paragraph, this is what this is.
Sure.
And, it can be very simple, a couple of sentences. And then we can put the same thing in the mailbox that goes on the website.
Okay.
Okay, Jim volunteered to do that.
Are we gonna put this into the yellow pages or not? We will, okay, because this will go to the people that are currently in the park, but the people coming in next year needed to be able to see it on the yellow pages.
Okay, and the yellow pages. That will be for the communications. I think we're pretty clear on that. Okay, that motion has passed. Next, we'll go to the Wi-Fi, used Wi-Fi equipment and et cetera. Oops.
Are we gonna give this to all new members that come in the park in the future?
No,
Well, it seems it's that important that we all have to have it now. Maybe it belongs in the package that the new members get.
well, I don't know. The thing, yeah, the thing is, those phone numbers could change. I think those phone numbers are current right now. Whether they're gonna stay like that in the future, I don't know. But that's a good point, Marilyn, thank you.
If they get the yellow, if it's in the yellow pages, they will have it.
In their membership orientation, or from the PAC, when they're PAC. The PAC is a new member. Okay. Does that answer your question, Marilyn?
No, yes, I guess so.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't care for me. I'm just saying if we're so concerned about it that we want to make sure everybody knows, then all the new people that come in the future should know.
Okay, well, that will go into the yellow pages, and that is put in the pack for new members. So, yes, then it will be going to the new members as they come in. And that, I think that is posted in the mailroom, or used to be, the yellow pages.
Yes.
Yeah,
In the laundry.
in the laundry room, okay. Okay. Okay, we'll go to Dick Shanahan next.
So, I'd like to have a motion put in for, trying to sell some of the Wi-Fi equipment that we have replaced. And I think Rocky has that. Ladies, you can read the motion and then we can discuss it, or see if there's questions on it.
All right, do I have a motion for the used Wi-Fi equipment to be sold?
I make a motion to send a directive to the Wi-Fi committee authorizing them to sell any equipment not needed for our park. The proceeds of any sale to go to the CARF fund.
Okay,
I second the motion.
So, we take down equipment and put newer equipment up. Much of what we take down is still usable. There may be a market for it. There may not be much of a market for it, but we don't know until we get some authorization to explore that. So, I just think that if we can get some money for some of that stuff, we should.
that motion addresses that. Yes, Sharon?
Can you describe what some of the equipment might be?
No.
That I would buy?
Were you here at the agenda meeting?
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
Sharon, you don't want it? Sharon?
Okay, it's the stuff that's up on the poles, or it has been. And it's very like the stuff that's on the pole next to the There's the kind of long rectangular looking thing, a little deal on the top with that antenna sticking out. And then there are the power supplies that are in the little gray boxes at the bottom.
So I can have my own pole if I want it?
You have a pole. You have a pole.
It's next door.
Oh, all right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, oh, yes, yes.
Okay, and once you sell that, once the motion's passed, if it does, that once you sell it, then you can report back how much money was made from the resale, right?
Right, it'll be considerable.
Well, if I get that information, I will report it back.
Okay.
No, the money.
Well, it should be
And I think
reported.
it makes sense that the funds go to CARF, since CARF is funding the project upgrade.
Right, yeah, that's where the
I really
motion
wanted
is.
it elsewhere, but
And I believe that the finance committee is in agreement with that, is that not correct?
Okay.
Use of the funds, good, okay.
Is there any further discussion or questions to Dick about the equipment? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. The motion to sell the used Wi-Fi equipment and any monies will be referred to CARP. Raise your hands if you agree. 5 here. Jerry, I'm sorry. Susie
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-4 with 1 absent. Okay. Oh, on the agenda next is the employees' COLA date change.
Procedure for reimbursement.
Yeah, we've got something before that.
Well, that's the procedure for the reimbursement of funds.
In general.
Oh, okay.
I think Jerry's got that.
I thought that was with the Wi-Fi. Okay. Sorry, Jerry.
I didn't prepare a motion in this area, but I would like to make a motion that in the future, that if, I'll call it entities, could be committees and/or the business manager or the park manager make money on efforts that they undertake, that money comes back to their use in their budget, if that makes any sense.
makes a lot of sense to me.
The idea is, we have, well, for discussion, we have Randy selling rock, and people reimbursing the park for the cost of the rock. That money goes into the general fund right now, but Randy is, if he's trying to stay within his budget, isn't allowed to use that money, for instance, to purchase additional rock, should he need it. It's situations like that.
Are there more than that?
Yes,
Yes.
there's a Wi-Fi one.
There's the Wi-Fi, we buy Wi-Fi equipment, these little repeaters that we buy and put into individuals' RVs, and that money comes out of the Wi-Fi committee budget, but the money, the money
Supposed to go
that's
back
paid
in.
in by the members goes back into the general fund, not back into the Wi-Fi budget to purchase new stuff should we need it.
Is that the same as the used equipment we just
Not,
passed?
not exactly.
Okay.
Could be.
It could be, but it's not exactly. The reason for that is because the money was spent by CARF, not by the committee
Ah, okay.
or the park manager in those instances.
So you're looking specifically at committees or
And/or the park manager, yes.
Manager's budget.
Manager's budgets, yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Jerry, could the motion, or would the motion make sense instead of going, to just say that the money goes back into the entity of which the funds originally came out of? That way it would cover all those procedures. If it came from Randy, it would go back to Randy. If it came from Wi-Fi or from CARF or from whatever, it would go back to that. That would cover that if the motion was made that way, I think.
Entity or funds, yes. Now, how do we summarize that?
I'm writing.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
My motion is that monies that are generated from the sale of park property be returned to the entity
From which it came.
from which it came. Like she said.
I second the motion.
I want to get through it.
And you want me to repeat that?
Just say what he said.
But, do we understand the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Those in favor of the monies going back to the entities that
Generated the funds.
generated the funds?
Right.
Okay. Raise your hand if yes. Okay, it's 5 here. Susie
Yes.
and John?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 with 1 absent. Did you want to make a comment, Dick?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that, we voted on it already, Dick. Don't
Well,
mess it
I'm all
up.
in favor of the motion being passed, but I did want to just mention that this needs to be accounted or taken into consideration in the budget process, because
Yes.
if we buy 4 or 5 of those little repeater things, and we expect to sell 4 or 5 of them, we need to allow for that in the budget. In other words, it won't be a direct expense to our budget because we'll get it reimbursed.
If you
So
sell it.
instead of asking for $10,000, I'd probably have to settle for $9,500.
Well, you need the money originally to buy the equipment, so, because the thought is that you will use the money that comes back from that to buy new, again, for the next.
Yeah, so I was thinking more about like the rock thing, which is pretty much bigger money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Just so we know, we're talking about gravel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
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 Dara is the chair of the finance committee. Are you clear on what we're talking about, the fundings? I know that's going to be in the budget. Okay, so that committee's aware of this because you're finance too. So it's just to make it easier bookkeeping and keeping the monies intact with the committees.
It's an
With that.
accounting thing that needs to be kept accurate.
Right, okay,
Smoke and mirrors.
right. I think most of us understand it. I'll speak for Bev and me. Okay, now the COLA for the employees.
All right, this will be my last motion for the meeting, I hope. I'd like to make a motion that the park change their current employment policy related to the timing of providing employees with an annual pay raise related to the Social Security Cost of Living Adjustment, COLA. I propose that the effective date be changed from July 1, which is the current date that our employee employment handbook has, to the first pay period beginning after January 1st, which is the date that the Social Security COLA comes into effect. However, for this year, we're going to be a little late because we're just making this decision now. So I propose that employees be paid the COLA increase for the year 2022, starting January 31st. For information purposes, our policies from the park have allowed our employees to be paid the same annual pay raise that Social Security provides. In this case, this year, it is 5.9%, but our policy says that the pay will not be given to the employees until the 1st of July. And I think that was done for budgeting purposes. The cost to the park to do this for this year is about $3,000 for the 6 month for all 3 of our employees. And just for reference, our current salary cost for these 6 months is about $50,000. So it is the 6% of what our salary currently is.
And I second the motion.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion?
I have one comment, and that is that it is not included in a current employee handbook. It was as an independent
Piece of paper.
concurrence of back in 2000 and something else, long time. It isn't in the current or the construction of the handbook.
Well, if this motion is granted, it should be put in the employee's handbook.
Absolutely.
And if this motion is granted, we will be in sync with Social Security.
Yes.
They get it the first pay period in January every year. And so I think we should follow in suit.
I believe that, since everybody else, or darn near everybody everybody in the park who's over 55 has the opportunity to get a 5%, in this case, 6% raise.
65 years old to get it.
65, okay. And the world's going up by that much because of that raise going out to darn near everybody, that our employees ought to be able to stay up and not lose money and fall behind the rest of the population, if you would.
And I'm sure the Finance Committee can budget that for next year.
Okay, so this $3,000, now is no problem? Okay. Okay, well, that settles that. Okay, now we have the vote. Those are in agreement to the motion to do the COLA for the employees to be effective the dates that Jerry said, which would be January of 2022.
So it would be retroactive to July to January the 1st?
No.
No.
It would start, this year would start on January 31st.
Okay.
Because that's the next pay period
Okay.
that our employees would start. And then
Okay.
beginning next year, it would start at the regular time, the January 1st, that
Right.
the rest of the world
Okay.
goes away.
Okay. Okay, is that clear?
You're listening.
Okay. Those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. We have 5 here. Susie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
And motion passed 7 with 1 absent. Okay. Landscaping, there was a motion that Dar wanted on as under other.
I thought we were doing the math.
Just to end up here, I would like the board to give some kind of a direction as far as how they want to have the budget for the landscape committee managed. Currently, Randy is in charge of the landscape committee because there is no chair or co-chair. There is a budget for that committee, and we'd like to have some direction.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that the 2022-2023 landscape budget be made for landscape and be separate from the park manager's budget, if that is in agreement with the wishes of the Finance Committee.
Yes, but the other question I have, I'm sorry, I should expound a little further. Bev, you want to help me?
Yeah, the issue is for the remainder of this year as well as for next year. So I have a motion that if you go. Okay, I move that the landscape committee liaisons have oversight of the landscape committee budget in the interim until a chair or co-chairs are found. Prior approval of reimbursement of related expenses must go through the committee liaisons. The park manager being in charge of landscape activities in the interim with liaison prior approval be allowed to use those funds for landscape committee activities as outlined in the landscape committee's fiscal year budget.
Okay. Does that supersede your motion?
Yeah, I'll remove my motion in difference to your motion.
Okay.
And then you may need to make a second motion.
Pardon?
You might want to make a second motion for next year's budgeting also.
Okay. So we'll handle this
Two
one.
separate.
Two separate motions. So we'll handle the first one as the liaison with oversight.
And I second Ben's motion.
Okay. Jim has withdrawn his first motion and it's gone to Beth. She's made a motion for the liaisons to have oversight of the landscaping committee. Do you want to submit that paper? Pardon? For the balance of this fiscal year till, what is it, 2021 to 2022?
Yeah.
Is that clear to everybody? Okay. I'll have the vote. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, so basically, Randy could spend money out of that budget, provided it is okayed by the liaisons who are watching over the committee, the landscape committee now. Is that correct?
Yes, right at the moment, he doesn't feel he can spend any of that money. So the money is there and he needs to be able to spend it.
For landscape.
If he needs it, for landscaping.
But at the approval of the liaisons?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. That what you read from, is your motion on that for Rocky to look at?
Yes.
I just gave it to her.
Oh, okay.
However, change Randy's name to park manager, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right. Take the vote. Those in favor of the motion? We have 5 here. Susie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7 with 1 absent. Now there's a second motion.
Okay, this is basically the same motion, but for the 22-23 fiscal year.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion on the second motion? No discussion, we'll take the vote. Those in favor, raise your hand. We have 5 here. Susie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-1 and with 1 absent. Okay, we have one last thing on our agenda. It wasn't put on, inadvertently it wasn't put on there, but it was the mask up letter. The board took this up at the agenda meeting. And, well, after the agenda meeting, the board had a closed board meeting, and we wanted to put this on the agenda. So it's the last thing under other. The board has compiled a letter, and it will be given to every member in our park. And what did I do with my copy? Would you like it to be read here? You will get a copy. We can read it here. Jim, would you volunteer to read it? Or would you like the secretary?
Give Rocky a break.
Okay, unless she wants to read. No? Okay. Jim will read the letter that will be voted on once he reads it.
This letter is dated January 20th, 2022. It's to members and renters. During the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Board of Directors created a mask policy to protect the health and welfare of our members. That policy remains in effect today and requires the mask to be worn in all buildings within Timber Valley where we are in close proximity to one another. Notices to this effect are posted on all doors to the office, mailroom, laundry, and clubhouse, as well as on the website and the Timber Valley log. While the majority of our members are following the rules, there are a few who choose not to comply. We can all relate to their excuses and probably agree. I can't breathe. They fog my glasses. I've been vaccinated or have had COVID, so I'm immune. Or I don't think they work. COVID is transmitted via our exhalation. It is transmitted by coughing, sneezing, laughing, yelling, and close contact. All these things happen when we are together. COVID has not gone away, and the new variants are more communicable. Are we tired of wearing masks? Yes, yes, yes. Do we want this to end? Yes, yes, yes. Until then, vaccinations, boosters, social distancing, and wearing masks, while not perfect, are the best way to protect ourselves and others. We don't want to have a few spoil the privileges for the whole park. At the January 13th, 2022 board agenda meeting, a letter which was read, which reinforced concern that non-compliant members are putting the rest of us at risk. The concern was echoed by several additional folks attending. There was a to address this issue. When we each accepted membership in Timber Valley SKP Park, we signed an agreement to abide by the bylaws and rules and regulations. That's Article 4, Section 1.3. The board cannot control your behavior, but like running stop signs, speeding, and other violations, there may be consequences. Chronic non-compliance will not be tolerated and violators will be warned. For those who continue to violate the mask rule, the board of directors may have the need to close all park buildings and impose disciplinary action. We take no pleasure in such drastic measures and hope that no further action is needed. Keep in mind, putting others at risk could potentially place the park in a position of liability and cause significant financial loss. Be kind to one another and don't spoil it for others. Board approval, date, signed, board president. That's the letter that we're asking the board to approve to be distributed to all members.
Is there a
and put on
motion?
the website.
Is there a motion to approve this letter?
Madam President, I make a motion that the board approve this letter as written and distributed to all members.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion?
No, Bob was talking.
Bob Grant?
Yeah, Bob Grant, lot 118. First of all, the state of Oregon, 2020, the year for 2022, has not required a mask to be worn.
I thought we had to have a mask in here right now.
He can
He's
take it
talking,
off.
he's talking.
He can take it
Oh, I'm
off.
sorry.
the top.
I apologize.
Okay.
And I'd like to point out probably three things that when you go into the mail room, you look into the office and nobody's wearing a mask in there. When they answer the door to give you a package, then they have it on. And when another thing is when we have coffee and donuts, or I don't know if they've stopped that or not, but during coffee and donut time, people, they go in and they're having their coffee and donuts and they're not wearing the mask. And and then when you have your potluck dinners, nobody's wearing a mask in there. And they're swapping food, basically swapping spit too. And as far as I'm concerned, between those things and going into the card room and playing a game, and you want people to wear masks, I don't think that's quite right. What's the difference? Thank you.
Any more discussion?
I'd like to address the issue a little bit, and that is, if I'm not mistaken, the governor did require people to wear a mask indoors, and I believe it's until February, and then she will re-look at the issue. We did stop the Saturday morning coffee, so my knowledge, that has not started again. And you are correct that some people have been playing cards, et cetera, et cetera. This will change that, hopefully that behavior, and people will wear a mask in order to protect the other people within their presence.
I would just like to put some things in perspective. You know, we all have, I think, COVID fatigue. We're tired of this. I'm tired of it. I went on the computer yesterday and looked at yesterday's numbers just for Douglas County for COVID.
Yeah.
And 6 months ago, the numbers were such that they said if we can get 15 or below per day COVID cases in the county, we can go from the extreme level just down to a serious level. That's what they were pushing. Douglas County has now had 322 deaths. They've had 3 this week. This week, they have 824 cases in this county of COVID. That comes out to a little over 117 cases per day, when not too long ago, they were hoping to get below 15 cases per day. Douglas County has 51.3% of the population is fully vaccinated, and 38.2% of those have the booster. So COVID has not gone away, and I know people are tired of wearing the masks, but if, let's say the masks don't work, let's say everything we're trying to do doesn't, and although most of the testing shows that they're at least somewhat effective, but if they're not, we're inconveniencing you. But if it is effective and you're wrong and you give it to somebody else, you could potentially kill them. So I think the scales balance in the fact that we need to continue to do what the state asks us to do as a business, because we are a business. And even though we're a private business, we have a lot of the things that a public business has. So I think until the state changes their stance, that it behooves this board to continue the stance that they've kept and be in compliance.
Bob, you wanted to say something?
Yes, one other thing. I think, we've been putting up with this for like 700 days right now. And as far as I'm concerned, and I think that a lot of people probably want to say the same thing, is, if you haven't been infected by now, it's time to move on and start living your life again.
Jerry, you wanted to say something?
Well, I'm, as one of those that's immune compromised, I'm concerned. I don't know what this is going to do to me, and it seems to be more prevalent. Whether they say it's less serious maybe now, but, I don't know what's going to happen if I catch it, for instance. Yeah. Now, I'm not the best example of wearing masks sometimes. I try to remember when I do, but I am concerned. And sometimes I think that I am not necessarily wearing the mask for everybody else, but I'm wearing it for me. But I also have to realize that I don't want to pass it on to somebody else, because their life may, I don't want to affect their life. The other thing I recognize is we as the board and and our employees need to be aware that we can't throw stones and tell everybody else to do something unless we do it ourselves. So we need to make sure that both the board members and our staff wear masks when they're asked to, and when it's, I think, medically appropriate. And that's in closed confines of buildings and those sorts of things. So I think we need to make sure that we're good there.
I agree with that, and I also think that when we are reminded to put our mask on, that we do it with a good spirit, instead of being belligerent, hateful, fighting, or whatever. We don't need that. Just comply with it for your neighbor. Roxy? Rocky? No, Roxy.
Roxy Fish, 120. Motion to the mic, please. Are you saying then?
You can take your mask off and get close to it.
On Monday mornings, there is a group of 7 of us that have coffee. We have done this for a long time. So are you saying that we can like take a sip of coffee and have to put the mask back up?
No.
I mean, can we just sit there while 7 of us drink our coffee and visit and everything without wearing a mask? That's what I'm asking.
That's the question.
Well, that's a good question, but you're not sipping the whole time, so a lot of people do it. They drink, put their mask up, and they talk, then you take another sip or have a bite of donut or whatever, then mask back up. I know it's just not good. We don't like it, but there is a point to that. I would say wear your mask as much as possible. Plus, if you're going to be there eating and taking your mask down, drinking, to social distance more.
This current epidemic may only, from what we hear, may only last another month or so. So we may be out of this in a month. We don't know that for a fact, but that may be the situation.
True. Rocky?
In restaurants, when you go to a restaurant, you wear your mask you wear your mask if you get out of your chair and go to the restroom or when you leave. But while you're sitting there, you can take your mask off. I don't see why we can't do that here too. I mean, it's up to everybody else that if they want to be in that situation, then I think that's all right.
Okay, that's because they're eating and drinking?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But if you're sitting there playing cards.
Now, we weren't talking about the cards. She was
Okay.
asking about
Food.
Eating and drinking.
eating and drinking.
Okay.
Rocket Shot 119. On the calendar, the electronic calendar, there is nothing about the coffee and donuts anymore. I noticed there's potluck coming up and it's listed.
Yep.
Do we continue or do I cancel potluck,
Continue.
which is in a couple of weeks?
As far as I know, the potlucks are still on. I don't know. I don't go to them. I don't know. Linda, are they still on as far as you know?
Yes,
There's-
we are not closed. At this point, we have not closed the clubhouse. What we're saying, at this point, we have not closed the clubhouse. The things we have lined up, we're going to continue if the few persons that choose not to wear their mask ruin it for the rest. That's all I'm saying about it. That's not all I have to say about it, but it just really, this people that are just so adamant that they shouldn't have to do this. There's enough discussion here, right here today, that you have said what it's going to be. Now, it's up to the others to comply, and if they don't, then we've got to go on to the next step.
That's true. And like it said, you know, we're talking about the eating and the drinking here, okay? John, you had something to say about that.
Well, I mean, when you're on an airplane, or if you're actively eating, you can take your mask down. But I was gonna ask, it says, when we are in close proximity to one another in building, right? So I often go to the mail office in the evening to get mail or whatever, and sometimes I forget my mask. Is this good enough?
I have a comment if I may, when I get a chance.
I'll get you next, John. Hold on.
So is it good enough to put a piece of cloth over my face? I mean, it's no different than.
I've discussed this quite a bit with Kim on this, and once we get out of the habit, our thought is, once people get out of the habit of wearing it in to the mailroom,
Then they don't.
they won't do it on a regular basis. So, yes, it may not make any sense to have to wear it in the evening when nobody else is in the building down there.
I wear
But
it all the time if I forget.
But, yeah, but the idea is, do we stop it at 5 o'clock and you don't have to wear your mask in there anymore? Or is it just 24 hours period? I think the 24 hours,
And I'm talking about if there's no one else in there, if I go in.
that's what I'm,
And, you know.
yeah, no, I understand the point, and that's,
That's the point.
the idea is, if people get out of the habit, if somebody else sees you not wearing it in there, huh?
I wear this all the time, but occasionally I forget, and I know it's nobody.
Forgetting this is one thing, okay? But on a policy basis, I think it's 24 hours.
And don't breathe while you're there.
And I think what he's saying is, we all make mistakes, we all forget things, but the policy shouldn't change because of that. It's like in the laundry. We've said, if you're coming into the building, here, the office, the mailroom, you'll wear a mask. Period. We can't have a list of all of these exceptions, which might actually make sense. You have to have a policy that states what you're gonna have to have. And is it inconvenient? Yes, it is inconvenient. And we're gonna forget at times. But the board has made that policy, and as of now, we're still continuing to that policy. That may change. And hopefully, it will change to make things easier. Hopefully, the change won't be, we've got too many people not complying, so we're just gonna stop all of these things, and say, we're not gonna have food and stuff. We're trying to give as much freedom and choices to the membership as possible. But there's a group who says, I don't believe in it, I don't agree with it, I'm not gonna do it. They're causing a problem for everybody, and we're having other members coming to us and complaining about that, and saying, what are you gonna do about it? This is what we're trying to do about it. We're trying to be as accommodating as we can, and as least draconian as we can, and yet protect the park's interest and protect the membership.
I'm not in that group, so the question really was, if I don't have my mask, can I use this mask?
If it's not a habit, yes. Everybody's,
You're
you're talking about a one-time thing.
You're still observing
Right, okay.
the mask issue.
Yes, Sharon?
Having a background in medicine, I was absolutely amazed when it was said that you could go into a restaurant, sit down, and take your mask off, which seems to me like it totally defeats the purpose of the mask to begin with. Because if I take my mask off, I'm still exhaling right into, to your face, as well as laughing. And so I understand that that's a problem. I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, we're gonna finish up. Bob, were you finished? John, just a minute. Okay.
For the potluck, people are gonna wear, hopefully, their mask in and when they leave, but when they eat, and when they're done eating, they're gonna be talking without the mask, period. Just like a coffee break would be for teas and coffee.
I would think that you would remind them, you're finished eating, please put your mask on.
So potluck is still on.
Potluck is still on. Okay. Bob,
John?
Yes.
Hey, how about,
Okay, John, Bob, would you wait just a second? Let me ask John. John, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, people have been interrupting, you're not keeping it in order. I think that, I'm a little upset about that, actually. Everybody just stepped in, and rather than going in order, if people would not speak while somebody's speaking, it would help. First of all, do I agree with the mask thing? Absolutely not, okay? And medical advisors from both sides say this and they say that, fine, okay. But if a majority of the board, which they have voted to go along with the state requirement, then we need to follow it. Now, having said that, like I said, I disagree with it, and but it's what the board, now if you as a person out, a member, decide you don't like that, then run for the board next time and try to change the things you don't like. But if you are here now and you sign that agreement, then go by the decision of the board and follow the rules.
Okay, any more? You have any?
No.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Bob?
Okay, so is it acceptable to be sitting at a card table playing cards, and when you get up from the table to go to the restroom, or whatever you may have to do, then you can put your mask back on?
No, you don't, you have to have your mask on.
Your mask on all the time unless it's not no.
So let me ask you then, what's the difference between a potluck, sitting and having coffee, and playing cards?
You're eating, you're putting something into your mouth or drinking.
We're
Whereas you're,
making general rules.
right, or when you're playing cards, you're not doing that.
Well, we are
Games.
thinking, when we're playing cards.
Well, then you take the mask down and take a sip.
Yeah, Bob, it seems to me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems to me that you're trying to wiggle around what we're trying to do.
No, I'm just trying to ask what's right and what's
Then
wrong.
the board's view, I think I speak for the board, is, as a group, is if you're playing cards, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. If you're eating chips or drinking, you can take your mask down when you're doing that, but your mask is supposed to be up. We know what the history is of the card players. They're one of the groups that's being complained about. So the board has a choice. We can either try to work this out and get by it, or we can just close the clubhouse to social activities, and then everybody suffers. And that's the two choices the board has. And they don't want to make that choice to hurt the majority of the membership. So we need to move on with this.
Did you have anything else to say? That's the last comment.
Yes, I just feel like it's wrong to, if you're sitting in a group, you're sitting there, and it's same as sitting in a restaurant. You're sitting there and your food's not with you, but you can sit there without your mask and you can visit, you can do whatever you need to do, and you're talking. Same way with your coffee group. And it's confine yourself into an area, and once you get up, then you put your mask on. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Let me get Dennis here and then, okay.
Dennis, LOL, Lot 66. Obviously, we don't live in a perfect world. We can't eat and drink while we're wearing a mask. But if the rest of the time, which is maybe 80 or 90 or 95%, we can wear a mask, then more people are going to be safer by doing it, even though we can't wear a mask every minute. You know, there are mask deniers just like there are climate deniers. You know, for people who question the value of a mask, can you imagine if you went into any operating room in any hospital, if nobody was wearing a mask, or even a dentist's office? medical people probably know more about the dangers involved than we do. And one other thing, an observation that I have is, you know, some people say, well, it's not comfortable, it's not comfortable. And I wonder whether they think about the people who work in hospitals that are burned out, that are leaving the profession under stress. If some people think wearing a mask is inconvenient, can they possibly imagine what our healthcare workers are having to deal with every single day of their life? So maybe the mask deniers should be a little bit more considerate to the people who are really suffering. Thank you.
Bev, I'll finish with you.
Okay, I just wanted to say that the issue with not having to wear a mask in restaurants was never made in a health way. There's no health reason why we can eat without. That was put in so that the restaurants could stay in business and make money. It had nothing to do with it's okay for your health to sit there and eat without a mask on. So, you know, I don't think that that even should come into play when we're talking about why we should be wearing a mask. And if that's an issue, we should stop the food and drink in our meetings. Thank you.
That could happen. That could happen. Okay, I'm going to call for the motion to approve the letter to be distributed with the members. Those in favor of the approval of the letter, raise your hand. 5 here. Susie?
Oh, Susie had to go to a meeting.
Oh, Susan's not there. John? John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, at 6-4.
Yes.
6-4 and 2 absent. Okay, motion to approve that will be done. All right, there's nothing else left on the agenda here. Does anybody have anything you want to say? Aida, you stepped up.
Actually, this is just a request more than anything else having to do with the food pantry. If I could ask, a 13-gallon plastic bag full of canned goods is very heavy, and I can't manage it. So I would appreciate it when somebody leaves the park and their cupboards are very generously taken care of. If those containers could be broken down into smaller amounts, I would appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, one other
Oh.
quick item. In the minutes, it said that the board was going to create a committee to discuss the undershed venting and how it was going to be enforced, and I don't know that you ever did that.
That had not been done, and you're absolutely right, and Jim is leaving. We have not appointed an ad hoc committee, or we have not given a directive to what to do, to whom that should go to make up the guidelines. Do we want to address that now, or put it on for the meeting next week, or next month?
Next month's fine.
Next month.
Is that okay? Where's George? He left, because I know we've talked
No,
about
George
it.
is here.
Okay,
That's okay.
okay.
We're not gonna rot for a week.
Okay, that will definitely go on the agenda for next month. Okay?
I move that we adjourn.
Bev makes a motion to adjourn at 12:20.
Required a second.
Meeting is adjourned.
I am coming no more.